In the frozen scene, demonic power spawns ferocious monsters everywhere. At the same time, it also creates awakened humans with great power. Demon King Belfort, ranks S, commands all 5 elemental systems. He was once the strongest opponent of the awakened army known as the Holy Legion. This formation was led by Bai. In his 10th year of command, he firmly held the Great Sword. He shouted orders for his troops to prepare for the 100th Demon Lair battle. The system displayed stats, and Lee accepted the Lightning Assassin role with a confident smile. This battle was classified as Purge Rank A, initiated by Hang Xiaolin, Cloud Mage. The boy shouted that despite extreme hardship, they would rest after finishing. A steady voice rang out to guide their steps. That was Lucian, a star support mage with terrifying enhancement effects. When Bai Yi touched the stone, the whole space exploded. He landed like a war god, his aura undiminished. His ultimate skill split heaven and earth. Light flashed in Bai Yi's eyes. The Legion captain declared Belfort completely defeated. Han Xiaolin complained the fight ended too quickly, and Li invited him to hunt more demon lairs. Lucian questioned why such an important mission was so easy. Bai Yi's gaze fixed on the beast corpses. He explained this demon king possessed 5 elements and hidden skills. Suddenly, arms hugged him from behind and a sweet female voice spoke. She hinted he should handle the group's feast and reminded him of their personal unfinished date. He blushed awkwardly and agreed to meet in the capital as usual. The girl pouted at his failed teasing. Han Xiaolin cut into joke. Suddenly, Bai Yi's eyes turned cold. Realizing someone hadn't appeared, Lucian confirmed he avoided the fight, and Li replied indifferently, saying he always complained, and Han Xiaolin added more mockery. At that moment, a mysterious figure quietly approached from behind. The stranger raised his hand, releasing a deadly aura. He spoke softly, initiating the purge mission. As soon as he finished, a bullet from above pierced Han Xiaolin's head before anyone could react. The 3 stood frozen, eyes wide in horror, seeing him lying unconscious on the ground. A cold male voice declared this was their true God-given mission. Bai Yi clenched his teeth, shoulders trembling in fury. His whole body went numb, unable to move even a finger, trapped in an invisible snare. The stranger revealed their food had been laced with anesthetic for a month. Before Bai Yi, a pale tree rose from the ground glowing eerie green. Branching vines coiled like snakes, showing the divine flower skill, binding the rest into immobility. He laughed triumphantly, confident in destroying the strongest group with full preparation. Though bound, Bai Yi tried to question him, while only shouted accusations of inhuman cruelty. He coldly declared this was a divine order. The Purge Rankle mission was to erase them. The vines tightened further, making Bai Yi panic and scream for endless help. Both were bound. Electric currents from the vines struck them with lethal force. Red blood splattered into the air. Bai Yi's pupils shrank in unbearable pain, and Li coughed blood, his face paling from internal injury. The vines kept spreading endlessly, consuming the surrounding space. Only Bai Yi remained conscious, his fury erupting as he desperately cried out why they were purged. He demanded what right the nameless god had to cruelly act against their legion. Suddenly, the stranger stepped forward as if imposing dominance, looking up at Bai Yi hanging midair. He mocked that the former leader was still knave. His figure vanished, rushing like a storm. He struck with a full-force punch piercing Bai Yi's body. Roaring like a beast, he asked dryly if killing comrades even needed a reason. His blood-soaked hand and icy face showed no regret. Blood spilled from Bai Yi's mouth as he muttered about 10 years of friendship. Feeling betrayed, the enemy pulled back his hand, grinning wickedly, and asked if Bai Yi understood why he did it. He admitted he had always been set up as a tool under divine authority. He revealed that all of them were nothing but manipulated pawns. After speaking, the vines released Bai Yi, dropping him weakly while the enemy's voice echoed in his ears. He confessed he himself was disgusted by his own actions. His finger pointed at Bai Yi, his haunting gaze terrifying him. A blast erupted, his head exploded, blood splattering the attacker. He muttered while staring at the corpses. Recording May 22nd, 2025 as the day of total death. The Purge Rankle mission ended. He coldly declared they could rest, as if the task was complete. But as he turned to leave, Bai Yi's eyes suddenly opened. The bullet that seemed to destroy his head hadn't killed him. His body trembled lightly. Still alive, a strange voice whispered in his ear. "Hey, I propose an exchange." Bai Yi slowly opened his eyes, finding himself chained in iron. Asking where this was as a man's mocking laughter echoed from the void. The stranger softly called his name. "Soiji." Bai Yi widened his eyes, stunned by the unexpected call. He stammered, asking if that was Belfort, mocking how incest demon king could be defeated like that. Belfort answered this was his soul space and that Nei-Go was his true form. He cut him short, saying to get to the point because he sensed the same hatred rising in Bai Yi as in himself. Thus he proposed making a deal with him. He revealed a hidden life regression skill could send Bai Yi back to the past to atone and change everything. He asked if Bai Yi wanted or not. Bai Yi lowered his head in silence, not answering immediately. An image of Enla's bright smile surfaced in his mind. Memories of Hang Xiaolin, the troublesome boy, darkened his gaze. He also remembered Lucian, the once reliable comrade. Happy memories with teammates vividly returned to his mind. Then the demon's cold smile haunted him like a shadow. He saw comrades falling one by one, Unable to save anyone, hatred within him flared, overwhelming all reason. Bai gritted his teeth, yanking against the iron chains and roaring that he wanted to kill that man. He also vowed to uproot the gods sitting above. Belfort smiled in satisfaction, saying this reaction was expected and agreed to help him. He raised his hand, producing a blazing red heart as a token of exchange, calling it a greeting gift. Bai frowned, took the heart, and directly asked why Belfort wanted a deal and what the price was. Belfort stared at him, smiling wickedly but staying silent, making his vision suddenly go dark. He didn't know how much later, but a familiar voice called, "Bai, stop sleeping," and he suddenly woke. A woman in front scolded him to sit up, and he realized he was in 2005 at the Awakener Middle School in Vassal State Shenghe-gu. Bai froze when he saw his youthful smooth hands, realizing he had truly returned before awakening. Teacher Huang scolded further about his laziness before the big day, ordering him to stand at the back of the class. He awkwardly muttered her name, Teacher Huang, in his mind. He gaped in disbelief that he had reincarnated back to middle school. He deduced this was Belfort's power, a time regression ability that shocked him. Faces of classmates from more than 10 years ago suddenly appeared vivid before him. Obeying orders, Bai timidly walked to stand at the back. Teacher Huang slammed the desk and loudly encouraged the class with energy. She paused, then sternly explained the world contained 5 elements: lightning, flower, cloud, core, and star. Each person could only fuse with one element, like herself possessing the rare cloud element. She added that harmony between element and body divided into 3 types: combat, support, and special. The 5 elements, applied differently, could create countless professions. She gave an example. The school's strongest party had a star mage, a cloud warrior, core caster, and a lightning assassin. She emphasized that students with awakening potential already stood out, but today was the true moment to decide fate. Currently, there were nearly 100 professions, ranked by 4 qualities: green, blue, red, and gold from lowest to highest. Each person had only one chance to awaken their lifelong profession. In the afternoon, the awakening ceremony would determine each student's future social standing. After class, Bai stepped into the schoolyard, emotional at the familiar scene of his first awakening. Suddenly, a bespectacled student fell to the ground, catching his attention. Soon after, a burly figure approached from behind. 2 others followed, laughing arrogantly, mocking the weak boy and scorning those who relied on awakening. He stomped cruelly on the victim's hand, boasting that his rare red profession made him superior to the rest. That was Hong Kong Sheng, a star assassin rank E with unclear background. In his past life's memory, Bai clearly recalled he often bullied classmates. The man had an unstable temper, prone to causing trouble for no reason. At that moment, a stern voice stopped him. It was Teacher Huang, frowning at the robbery behavior in school. Hong Kong Sheng still held the money he had taken, smirking loudly. He excused himself, saying the boy had bumped into them first, and demanded each be compensated with a milk tea, treating it as natural. He even lowered his voice to provoke Teacher Huang, hinting at suppressing her with crude means. She ignored it, quickly helping the student and asking gently. He laughed and left with his gang, saying he spared them for now. But his gaze suddenly stopped, staring straight at Bai. He slapped Bai's shoulder hard, intentionally shoving, and spoke a challenge. He threatened he would return to settle scores with the weaklings. The victimized boy trembled, whispering apologies, but Teacher Huang gently reassured him he wasn't at fault. Seeing this, Bai inwardly judged her as strict yet kind, remembering she had helped him greatly after his awakening in his past life. From afar, a loud call drew the attention of all 3, announcing it was Teacher Huang's class turn for awakening activation. She stood firmly, scanning the room, reminding students to stay clear-minded to avoid risks in the crucial process. Bai followed the group of students to the gathering point, recalling this world had 2 forms of power awakening. One form occurred naturally, like Hong Kong Sheng's case. It belonged to inherently gifted individuals, often triggered when emotions peaked. The other form was conducted through a special awakening chamber. This was the result of collective wisdom from scientists. In that environment, emotions and adrenaline of participants were powerfully stimulated. From there, hidden potential could be awakened and unleashed. However, each person was given only one uncertain awakening chance in life. A student cheered excitedly after gaining a blue profession of high quality, making Teacher Huang smile and send him to rest. Bai stayed silent, his mind tangled, realizing awakening was the only turning point to change his fate. Teacher Huang softly called his name, saying it was his turn. She crossed her arms, sternly warning the mischievous boy to focus and not burst out like in class. Bai firmly replied that he already had a plan. In his mind echoed the past life where he only awakened as a core warrior rank with mediocre green quality, becoming a bullying target. Only after reaching ranks did he discover he held a rare elemental core. Now he anxiously wondered what profession this awakening would bring him. Bai stepped into the strange world, tense while awaiting his classification. Anxiety drenched him in sweat like a waterfall. The system suddenly flashed an error warning during the activation process. 5 different energies erupted, overwhelming him with dizziness. His body burned as the ground shook like an earthquake, leaving him disoriented. The Infinite Awakening program officially activated. Information appeared. With all 5 elements, he could choose any element or starting class, and completing a set unlocked new ones. He panicked, shouting, "Wait, what does element accumulation mean?" Then he lowered his voice, realizing he could freely choose a start and later expand professions. Colors could range from green, blue, red, up to gold. There were all kinds of roles, even rare ones. A confirmation system existed, but only the first profession was chosen. Later ones would be random. At that moment, Belfort appeared with a familiar smile, offering help. He clutched his chest, realizing this was the gift from him. The power opening ability had no limit. After choosing the first profession, the elemental bars vanished. He must think carefully before deciding. Outside, students grew restless, whispering about the long delay. At that moment, Bai stepped out. Someone shouted joyfully. Teacher Huang gently smiled, asking which profession he had received. Bai sighed, apologizing that the result would disappoint her. He said he had gained the core warrior class, the lowest quality. Hearing this, Teacher Huang's voice dropped in sadness. Then she comforted him, saying even the weak could shine if persistent. Bai frowned, rejecting comfort, but Teacher Huang insisted she understood his feelings. She advised him to rest since awakening consumed much energy. Suddenly, Hong Kongsheng mocked him with ridicule. He sneered that the teacher's encouragement was delusional. Bai's face darkened, his gaze cold. Teacher Huang was displeased, but Hong Kongsheng continued attacking verbally. He declared green quality was the lowest tier. He leaned close to Bai's ear, smirking that life was just like this. Only the strong were valued. The weak existed only for humiliation. In Bai's mind, the words the gods echoed repeatedly. Teacher Huang sternly questioned him, but he kept insulting and said Bai would sit in the last row. Bai wondered about the reason behind such discrimination. He replied that society was ruthless, and the untalented would be discarded. The strong always reaped benefits, while the weak had to serve as lowly laborers. He mocked the belief effort can change fate as a lie. To him, destiny was fixed from birth. The awakening school was just a small model of reality, and green quality would always be trash. He told Bai to go home and stop wasting resources. Unable to endure the humiliation, Bai crushed the cup in his hand. Water splashed straight onto the opponent's face. Drenched, Hong Kongsheng angrily shouted. Bai coldly replied he didn't want to hear another word from him. Hong Kongsheng smirked, cursing fully. He furiously swung a fist straight at Bai. Teacher Huang panicked, unable to stop it in time. It was the basic attack skill of an assassin, overwhelmingly strong, as he roared to kill Bai. But Bai stayed calm, his eyes blazing. He drew his sword, using the move object severing to block the strike. Hong Kongsheng widened his eyes in shock. Then he clenched his teeth, his face showing fear. With a single sword swing, Bai flung his opponent far away. He crashed down under the horrified stares of the crowd. Hong Kongsheng spat blood, his eyes trembling with fear. He looked at Bai, stammering in shock at what was happening. The situation was beyond his understanding. The students buzzed in disbelief, unable to trust their eyes. Bai rested the sword on his shoulder, coldly stating the weak class he chose along with the added attribute. Hong Kongsheng struggled to rise, sneering it was just luck. He bragged that he had a rare red class, far superior to trash. But Teacher Huang noticed something strange in Bai's combat. She declared he had just used an extremely advanced warrior movement technique. This skill could block strong attacks and surpass reaction limits. It could even reflect damage, something her teacher had failed to master after decades. She couldn't understand how someone newly awakened could achieve it. Hong Kongsheng furiously drew his signature weapon, a bayonet with enhancement attributes. He swore to humiliate Bai before everyone. Bai remained cold, reminding himself he had reasons to choose a low class. He thought of human destiny being shackled from the start. But later, the world would realize that was a huge mistake. The system displayed the skill object severing with block, reduce, and full counter chances. The sword in his hand shone as he faced the enemy's violent aura. Students around grew fearful, whispering about the school's no fighting rule. They remembered Hong Kongsheng had a powerful family, while Bai came from poverty. The bullied boy worried, reminding that if Bai fought, he might be expelled. Teacher Huang wavered inwardly, but she quickly stepped in, standing between them, advising against further conflict. Hong Kongsheng roared, refusing to stop. His rage boiling, he pointed at Bai, declaring begging for mercy would be useless. He growled that the gap between winner and loser was absolute. Teacher Huang paled, admitting class quality differences lay in stats. Bai was only rank E, with weak base stats and 100% green quality, while blue and red classes multiplied stats by 1.5 and 2 respectively. Hong Kongsheng, also rank E, had doubled stats and strong attack skills. At awakening stage, the difference between their classes seemed unbridgeable. In terms of background, Bai was also completely suppressed. The bespectacled boy despaired, thinking Bai had brought this trouble upon himself. He believed survival meant staying away from those deemed trash. If one could avoid it, then enduring humiliation was the only option. Flexibility was the key to survival. Resistance only led to misery. Hong Kongsheng immediately charged, unleashing a stronger move with added effects. Teacher Huang panicked, shouting a warning to Bai. She hesitated, fearing Bai Yi couldn't withstand the speed and power this time. Hong Kongsheng struck arrogantly, challenging his opponent. Bai Yi stayed calm, scornfully saying there was no need to dodge. At the dangerous moment, he used a high-speed skill that greatly boosted reactions. At the limit, the effect burst forth, letting him bypass obstacles. His figure suddenly appeared behind the enemy, leaving him terrified. Soon after, sharp pain spread through Hong Kongsheng's body. He clutched his stomach, spitting blood. Collapsing to his knees, Bai Yi dismissed him coldly, calling him trash to be discarded. He walked away without a glance. Everyone murmured. None had clearly seen what happened. The bespectacled boy laughed, while Teacher Huang was stunned. Even she hadn't caught it. A female student rested her chin. Observing thoughtfully, she guessed Bai Yi had combined speed skill with advanced defense, but she couldn't understand how he inflicted damage in just an instant. A simple move taking down an enemy so fast was unbelievable. Sei Yin, the class monitor, noticed Bai Yi not only mastered warrior basics but combined them skillfully in combat. Dotting his quick calculation ability, students kept whispering about Hong Kongsheng's defeat and Bai Yi's actions. Xian secretly observed, questioning his mystery. As he left, the system reported gaining 50 profession XP, 50 elemental XP of rank, with scoring based on damaging a star element opponent. He thought 50 points were too little and that he needed to grind more. Hong Kongsheng struggled up, hoarsely shouting he wouldn't let Bai Yi leave. He grabbed a sword from the ground and charged to kill, but before reaching, a calm voice stopped him, making him falter in fear. It was Hong Liang, the Awakening Academy's middle school director, coldly warning against chaos. Hong Kongsheng nervously called him uncle, while Bai Yi glanced at Hong Liang, wondering about his identity. Hong Liang strictly ordered dispersal since everyone was tired, telling students to return and report their awakening to families. He emphasized today was the weekend and advised them to rest early. Upon hearing the order to go home, Bai Yi's face suddenly changed. Shocked, Hong Liang glared, sternly asking if he knew the school's no fighting rule. But Bai Yi barely heard, his mind chaotic, panicking if his slow response was due to rebirth. A flash of the past appeared, Awakening Day, May 22nd, 2005, with another crucial detail startling him. Hong Liang grew impatient and shouted, but Bai Yi suddenly turned, cursing inwardly for forgetting something vital. Thinking of the crucial matter, he rushed off, leaving the bespectacled boy staring curiously. Hong Liang angrily pointed at Teacher Huang, ordering her to control students. He said he would spare them this time without pursuit. Teacher Huang bowed earnestly to apologize. Later in a private room, Hong Kongsheng rubbed his injury, furious that if not for luck, he would have won. Hong Liang slammed the table, cursing the chaos as unreasonable. He recounted that when they rushed in, they saw Bai Di using the high-level skill shield barrier before impact. Moreover, before clashing, Bai Di had already found the weakest spot on his body and struck a fatal blow that shattered his defense. Hong Liang affirmed that even after 15 years of battle, he himself might not pull off such skill coordination and precision. The duel was like a veteran training a gifted elementary student. The child held extraordinary power. Bai Di kept running forward without stopping. His face was cold, with only one goal. Since Reborn, beyond revenge, he must stop the coming tragedy. He halted before a towering building. He wiped his sweat and let out a heavy sigh. Memories of the man who terrified young Bai Di with overwhelming power flooded back. He clenched his teeth with resolve, ready to sacrifice to prevent it. On May 22nd, 2005, at exactly 18:07, a man sat on the sofa flipping through Viv. He slapped his thigh, laughing loudly with uncontrollable joy. In the kitchen, a woman quietly washed dishes in peace. A boy pushed the door open, and the man happily asked why he was home early. The boy stood still, fists clenched tightly with tension. His gaze longed toward his mother through the kitchen glass. With teary eyes, he whispered, "Mother." His heart burst with relief seeing his mother alive. Feeling so lucky, his mother signed that today she would cook his favorite sour spicy noodles. Bai Di held back tears, forcing a smile, and signed that he wanted sour fish soup instead. She signed back that it must wait until tomorrow since she planned noodles today. Before she could explain, he urged her with signs to buy it now because he craved it. Seeing him so earnest, she smiled softly and agreed. Waving her hand in surrender, she turned to prepare, while Bai Di quickly followed, asking to go along. Suddenly the man on the sofa shouted that the mother going alone was enough. He scolded his son for forgetting manners, not greeting his father upon returning home. He reminded that today was May's Awakening Day, stressing its importance. Bai Lin leaned on the wall with a mocking smile, ordering his son to share good news. He, an rank level 26 electric warrior, bragged about his strong stats and said he came home early to celebrate. Bai Di calmly stated he had missed the awakening time. The others mocked that he hadn't awakened yet since the time was long over, leaving Bai Lin puzzled why he came back early. Bai Lin declared his son had awakened a blue-class profession. Insulting both father and son is useless. Those words cut deep into Bai Di's tender heart. Bai Lin arrogantly believed his son should at least awaken a red-class job, since he himself had awakened red back then despite hardships. He boasted of raising his son with hardship and sacrificing everything for his future. He pressed his face close to Bai Di, demanding word by word what profession it was. While the boy only lowered his head in silence, When Bei Lin released his profession power, he saw his son's awakening result. Baidi stammered that he had not awakened yet. Before finishing, a wine bottle was hurled straight at his head. Bei Lin coldly saw the result. Green light appeared, disappointment clear. He cursed that his son pretended to work hard but awakened trash, humiliating him. Baidi looked up with icy eyes. That man was father domineering, violent, emotionally numb. Recalling the painful moment, another punch fell, reminding Baidi of the Awakening Day tragedy. The image of May 22nd, 2005 in his past life resurfaced vividly. When Bei Lin saw his green awakening, he raged and unleashed a brutal beating. His mother tried to shield him, but he was too weak then, only enduring helplessly. Bei Lin beat his mother for hours, breaking her leg and causing head trauma leading to mental collapse. At that time Baidi only cried, face soaked with tears and blood. Now the same scene replayed as he was knocked down again. He reminded himself he had just awakened as an E-rank core warrior. Needing time to grow despite his chosen purpose, Bei Lin clenched his fist, growling for him to stand. He clearly felt the gap. His father had a red class C-rank job, rich battle experience, far beyond Hong Kangxing. With his head gripped and insults raining, Baidi boiled with fury but knew he couldn't resist yet. Bei Lin smashed another wine bottle on his head, cursing that his mother should never have birthed him. Inside, Baidi swore never let his mother suffer again. Fortunately, he managed to take his mother outside safely. Right after, the sound of shattering objects signaled a new incident. Looking back, he saw his mother Ru Yun returning early, trembling and dropping her bag. He blamed himself, wondering if she came back early because she worried he was hungry. Before, Ru Yun had hurried home from worry, deepening his inner torment. Seeing his wife appear, Bei Lin instantly turned grim and roared in fury. He glanced back at his son with contempt, saying the mother birthed trash. In prison, a death row inmate wondered why he evolved so early from green to higher rank. A rare case, that man was shocked, not understanding how Baidi advanced so soon. Only 1 in a million could evolve from green to platinum. The inmate reminded that this place was only for death row prisoners. An abnormal confinement. Baidi lowered his head briefly, then shouted that man had dared beat his mother to death. His eyes suddenly turned hollow and icy. Memories overwhelmed him when Bei Lin shifted his gaze from mother to him, freezing the air. Without hesitation, Bei Lin shouted and shoved Baidi down. The crash of furniture echoed with pain. He pushed himself up, spitting blood. Even without skills, an Awakened still held overwhelming power. He told himself he must not collapse because his mother was in danger. Ru Yun witnessed it, choked with pain, and rushed to her son in fear. Maternal instinct drove her to shield him, making Baidi unwilling to accept it. Bei Lin slammed the door shut with cold decisiveness. He turned back, eyes sharp as knives, questioning if mother and son wanted to die. He gritted his teeth, saying when he learned his wife was pregnant, he hoped the son would be his chance to rise. He grabbed a chair, boasting he alone had fathered a son to carry on the line. With the chair scraping the floor, he shoved his face close to his wife, yelling that the Bai family's honor rested only on him. Ru Yun looked in despair at the man she once lived with, now like a bloodthirsty beast destroying the family. Bei Lin Sheng screamed, cursing his son for awakening useless green. He blamed his wife, calling her the cause of birthing trash. Ru Yun stood firmly in front of her son, not moving an inch. As the chair was about to smash her head, green light flashed and the skill shield barrier blocked it. The extreme speed effect activated, knocking the chair from his hand. Caught off guard, Bai Lin Sheng staggered back a few steps. Baidi glared at him, vowing he would never touch his mother. Seeing scratches on his clothes, Bai Lin Sheng laughed loudly with amusement. Ru Yun trembled behind, heartbroken and terrified. Bai Lin Sheng twisted his neck joints, eyes cold but excited, sneering grown up. Huh! He grinned wickedly, stepping slowly toward his son. Baidi stared intently, planning to stall him, but instantly, Bai Lin Sheng darted forward like wind, aiming his blade at him. Baidi gripped the sword hilt, ready to use object neutralization to cancel damage, but his father's strength snapped the sword instantly. Then he shattered the guard stance and landed a thunderous punch on his chest. Baidi spat blood but kept his eyes locked on him, enduring the crushing gap. Bai Lin Sheng roared, unleashing speed boost with lightning, making each strike more vicious. Ru Yun sobbed, watching her son struggle under the brutal blows. He lipped up, snarling mockery that his son had some courage. Baidi clenched his teeth, refusing to dodge, bearing it head-on. Bai Lin Sheng sneered that such bravery was meaningless. With a trash job he could only die. But Baidi stared straight at the man who ruined his mother in his past life, swearing it wouldn't repeat. He snorted, mocking that naive awakening. When sudden urgent knocks sounded on the door, he ignored it, swinging a steel chair down while shouting. As Ru Yun clung tightly to her son, with no response, the outsiders pounded harder, demanding the door open. Mother and son trembled inside while he cursed angrily at the disturbance. Baidi instantly realized the people he awaited had arrived. Seething, Bai Lin Sheng yanked the door open, roaring who dared disturb him. At the door stood 2 investigators, Li Gang, and a rank red deputy captain, scolded for opening late, with Chen Jinwu, a C-rank blue, watching beside. Bai Lin Sheng froze at their appearance. Suddenly fearful, Asking why the deputy captain had come, Legang showed a warrant, saying they were hunting the fugitive Snow nearby and asked if he'd seen anyone suspicious. In the photo, the wanted man's face was hidden. Grinning defiantly, Bai Linsheng faked a smile, saying that man was famous on TV and he would report it if he saw him. Legang glanced inside, seeing Ruyun holding a bloodied Bai Dai, supporting him and touching his wound. He immediately pressed for the boy's condition. Bai Linsheng covered up, saying his son fell while buying vegetables, but Beidi spoke out, insisting his father beat him. Bai Linsheng's face instantly darkened heavily. 18 minutes earlier, after rebirth, Beidi had planned to spread fake news about Snow to lure guards, buying time and cornering his father. Legang asked coldly, making Bai Linsheng nervous and deny with a forced smile. Beidi listed his injuries and abuse in detail, urging verification, accusing his father of being a dangerous, unstable awakened. He even cited divine law, stating a violent awakened must be detained for 15 days. Legang and Chen Jinwu were stunned hearing this. Bai Linsheng furiously shouted. Not finishing his words, Legang cut him off, declared his authority as a monitoring officer, and announced arrest. Bai Linsheng went berserk to attack but was restrained by Chen Jinwu, who warned him not to resist. They dragged him away without further proof as he cursed, while Legang barked for order. The room fell into silence after he was escorted out. Beidi weakly called his mother. Ruyun immediately rushed to hug him, her worried eyes making him quickly reassure her. In his mother's arms, Beidi sighed with relief, thinking he had protected her this time and gained 15 days. Hearing her sobs, he smiled, whispering comfort. Vaughn grew stronger in time. His fingers clenched unconsciously, feeling the battle was worth it. He had managed to take the safe key from his father. In the past, Bai Linsheng had betrayed comrades to steal a treasure that let him rise from E to C. After calming his mother, Beidi quietly approached the wooden cabinet. Beside it was the hidden safe, always kept secret by Bai Linsheng. In his previous life, he only discovered this secret after his father's death. With it, he had enough strength to conquer a demon dungeon alone. Now, the only promotion paths lay within dungeons managed by gods and guilds. The place he could enter was just the ancient school grounds, or he could choose the hidden dungeon he had known in his past life, where rank and difficulty were uncertain. His eyes blazed with determination to advance faster than anyone. The hidden dungeon swarmed with monsters, allowing cultivators to rise from E to D, then B and A. On May 22, 2005, 22:02, the monitoring prison shook with commotion, forcing the deputy guard to act. But nothing was found, just like the false report. Chen Jinwu grew suspicious but warned that whether fake or not, anything tied to Snow must never be ignored, especially during an important time. Snow's presence in the province was a major upheaval. He asked about the captain's early return, but Legang coldly cut him off, saying not to discuss it. In the cell, Bai Linsheng wailed, begging forgiveness, promising to change, even bringing up the deputy captain's pregnant wife as a bribe hint. Legang immediately stood, eyes sharp, scolding him for daring to bribe. Once a guild member now fallen so low, saying that he walked straight out. Bai Linsheng clenched his fist, staring blankly after him. Chen Jinwu casually sorted the files, joking that since bribery failed, prison was all that awaited. He concluded, ordered silence, and slammed the cell door shut. Inside Bai Linsheng, rage burned into seething hatred. At dawn, while Ruyun still slept, Beidi left the room, determined to grow stronger before his father's release. Dungeons were the only path, holding chances for breakthroughs. It was a parallel space open through a void gate, where he silently advanced with weapon in hand. In reality, most dungeons were seized by guilds after exploration, because they contained countless monsters and resources, vital for leveling, but they carried deadly risks. And only after state surveys could exploitation begin. In his past life, this dungeon was discovered 1 year after demons invaded the human world. An F-rank dungeon usually required 3E rank awakened. For an A-rank dungeon, the standard team was 5 people, 3E, 2D. With the situation, there was a 90% chance this was an F-rank dungeon, the lowest he could access. A mysterious void gate appeared before him, leading into the unexplored. Without hesitation, he stepped through, facing a demonic world demanding strength and class coordination. But now he had no choice but to advance alone, as strong as possible. As he entered the strange space, a prompt appeared. Dungeon entered. Danger unknown. Beidi felt a freezing chill. The land blanketed in ice, like a domain of ice beasts. He pressed on without hesitation. Soon, a giant ice bear was seen sleeping, surrounded by piles of human bones. It was a primal ice bear, rank E, level 8, in hibernation. Suddenly, footsteps in a low growl sounded from behind. He spun around warily, sensing exposure. Perhaps thanks to the beasts in hibernation, he was still unnoticed. Soon after, a level 2 rank forest wolf lunged, making him draw his sword. Noting it was even stronger than him, the wolf missed its first strike. He quickly retreated, but attacked again. He raised his sword to block, yet the beast still pressed fiercely. After several dodges, the wolf paused as if gathering strength. He seized the chance, slashing cleanly and splitting the beast. Red blood spread across the icy ground. He looked at the weapon in hand, and a rank Kung Wu sword, the treasure hidden in his father's safe, boosting power greatly but still needing precise strikes to fell such high defense beasts. He sighed, recalling his glorious past when he once stood at the peak. The system notified, to level up he must kill about 20 wolves. Having gained 52 experience points and accumulated ice element, he calculated that advancing from E to D required 10 levels. Then roars echoed again. A whole pack of snow wolves appeared ahead, all a rank level 2. The smell of blood drew them in together. While he calmly observed, without fear, he realized they planned to swarm him. He took the initiative, swinging Kung Wu straight at their vital spots. He kept dodging their attacks. He countered with deadly strikes. The movements repeated non-stop, leaving no openings. He charged into the pack, eyes cold, mind fully focused. Finally, like an arrow loosed, he unleashed a finishing move, wiping out all the wolves. The system kept announcing victories, with experience soaring and 18 wolf fangs collected. After the battle, the wolf leader, rank a level 4, still stood blocking his way, bigger than the others, but compared to the slaughtered pack, it didn't faze him. He gripped his sword, dashed forward with savage slashes tearing silver fur, killing the leader. The system announced, Wolfkin slain, 56. He obtained a snow wolf diamond, standing amid the bloodied field, sweat soaked. He still smiled, certain leveling up was only time. System notified, leveled up to E rank 2, gained 12 attribute points to distribute. Hand on the panel, he panted and forced a smile. Realizing just a few wolves had exhausted him, with an E-rank body too weak, he eyed the scattered snow wolf diamonds. Regretting having no space bag to store them, picking one up, he recalled his past life, dungeons in guild hands, free awakeners oppressed, while snow wolf diamonds were rare materials worth 10,000 yuan. He slipped it in his pocket, moved on, thinking of advancing. Knowing higher rank beasts required guild team access, the guild-affiliated academy was the training ground for talents, where all longed for recognition. Once expelled, the promotion path nearly ended, capped at rank C. Like his father before, abandoned by the guild and forever stuck, progress frozen. Looking back, he saw a snow wolf pack stalking. Sparking an idea, he dashed off, deliberately luring the whole pack after him. While running, he swung his sword to cut trees, creating obstacles. Fallen trunks crashed loudly, startling the beasts in the branches. A giant python suddenly slithered out. The wolves panicked, retreating to observe. At that moment, he stopped completely, with frosty breath in the cold wind. He thought the fastest way was to fight here. Soon he stood in a canyon packed with ice-type beasts. From level 4 python all kinds of a rank, a thunderous explosion shook the place, making all beasts tremble. Only he stayed calm, knowing the sound awakened them all, including the most dangerous. A massive foot stomped down, crushing several wolves instantly. It was the primal ice bear awakened. He rank level 8, now in berserk state with 20% more damage. Baidi read the system info, calculating, the bear now only destroyed. Recognizing no enemy, sure enough, any beast in its way was smashed without hesitation. Using the chaos, he struck precisely. Killing a forest wolf gave 52 XP. Slaying a python added 56 XP plus loot. After each kill, he withdrew to observe, waiting for an opening before flashing in again. With every ice bear strike, he used the chance to clear beasts, farming XP and loot from both wolves and serpents. His eyes gleamed with triumph as he quickly reached E-level 4, gained attribute points, and saved energy thanks to the bear's presence. But to truly level up, he still had to land the final killing blow himself. As he landed, the wolf pack roared, treating him as prey. He breathed slowly, staying calm though his body was worn out from non-stop battles. It was time to shift tactics. The prolonged fight had pushed him to the brink. His icy gaze swept over the beasts, all fitting his preset plan. Beneath them, the ice covered sharp frozen spikes. Seeing him as prey, they charged madly. He stabbed hard into the ice, murmuring, "Fall into the abyss together." The ice cracked wide, beasts froze in panic, while he had been tracking the terrain from the start. In fact, this was an ice bridge between two cliffs. Moments later, monsters plunged into the abyss, the system chiming X gains. With wolves and serpents wiped out, he walked out calmly as if no bloodshed had occurred. The stat panel showed he reached E-level 7, gained 12 attribute points, plus wolf fangs, snow diamonds, and serpent fangs in hand. But before he could rest, a massive figure appeared above, along with beasts charging beside the primal ice bear. Still, his plan had cleared most of the horde, leaving only a few stragglers to handle. Thus he earned the title 1 versus 10,000, granting a 10% all-stat boost when fighting groups. Gazing at the beasts, he smirked, though a doubt arose. Every dungeon must have a ruler. If the true boss was a savage lion king, he level 10. Why hadn't the trimmers lured it out? The primal ice bear suddenly turned, eyes viciously locking on him. Two wolves roared and lunged at once. At the same time, icy spell swept in like lightning. He frowned, instincts screaming danger. quickly retreating. He kept backing off, body tense dodging. It turned out it had never truly slept but had ambushed, waiting for the right moment. With the ice bridge gone, retreat was cut off. Behind was only the abyss, while foolish beasts froze instantly, showing the foe had waited for exhaustion before striking. A flawless trap. His face darkened as the spell hit. Frost crept up from his feet, binding his body. He looked at himself frozen, eyes cast down the dark abyss. So the ice bridge had been a pre-built snare? It only needed to appear at the last moment to reap the harvest. It's hard to believe a low-level cave hides such an intelligent leader. System displays. Domain Lord Shiwang Tanbao, level 11 grade D. Ice Element Mage, with 2 deputy demon apes level 10 grade E surrounding him. One demon ape stares at him with malice, a sinister light flashing in its wicked grin. The ice covered his body, leaving only his determined eyes open. Without fear, as his body was about to be fully frozen and the temperature dropped, he gritted his teeth to find a way out. At that moment, Chuzi Shuanglin gestured with his hand. The giant ape charged forward with a triumphant grin. Imprisoned in the ice, he could only watch the violent strike about to fall. At that instant, the ice cracked apart, and he broke free. Ready to fight, he seized the moment as Chuzi Shuanglin noticed the anomaly. With lightning speed, he delivered a finishing blow to the demon ape. System reported, blocked in 0.09 seconds. Reflected all physical damage. Struggling to stand and gasping, he realized breaking the ice had drained nearly all his strength. System confirmed awakening state triggered, trading freedom for energy depletion. Wiping blood from his lips, he analyzed. The enemy needed cooldown time. This was his chance to turn the tide. Yu watched Chuzi Shuanglin closely, determined to strike before things worsened. He clenched his fist tightly. Instantly, a pack of ferocious wolf bears appeared from the void. The sight made his blood boil, teeth grinding hard. Ice Bear also stepped forward, identity clear. Ice Element Beast, grade level 8. Cold sweat trickled down. He knew fire countered ice, but he was already exhausted. Even handling 2 demon apes was hard. Now with a beast pack it was even more perilous. He hesitated briefly, realizing he was trapped with no escape. A demon ape led the charge. Fierce and menacing, he quickly raised his shield to block the sudden blow, inwardly knowing his chance to win was nearly zero. The second demon ape also lunged in, coordinating relentless strikes. He was forced to retreat several steps continuously, yet his eyes still blazed with determination. Vowing not a bow, the ice bear slammed the ground, making the area quake. He had to dart to the side, swift as an arrow. Though his body trembled from the cold, his gaze remained fixed ahead, resolute. The demonic beast frenziedly encircled him. His stamina had bottomed out. Chuzi Shuanglin curled his lips in a haughty smile. He unleashed violent ice magic. Blast of cold rushed like a storm. He was horrified, not expecting the foe's recovery to be so fast. For a moment his eyes wavered, losing their usual calm, but they instantly turned cold again, as if following a chosen path. He told himself that in his past life he had endured many adversities. Because of that, his senses always found a tiny spark of hope. Now there were only 2 paths. One was to fight desperately while exhausted, with survival chances almost zero, or decisively jump into the abyss. As he moved, a stream of ice bound his legs tightly. His whole body turned into a massive block of ice. Chuzi Shuanglin was surprised, not yet understanding his intention. The wolves and bears also froze, stunned to watch, but he had turned into an ice projectile, plunging straight into the abyss. Eyes sharp, aiming at a target below. In the darkness, another creature hid, its cold gaze following him. Elsewhere, in a warm room, Ryun frowned, pushing the door open, complaining that her son always slept in on weekends, but she froze halfway. Before her, the bed was neatly folded. Today was 23 per 5 215ths, Saturday morning. Dai Mansion, on the table, she picked up a hurried note. Going out with friends. Back tonight, don't worry. Mom, clutching the note. Unease surged. She muttered, not right. If truly out with friends, he would have told me. No need to write. Eyes worried, she softly called, "Si, what's wrong with you?" Since the previous return, the child's erratic demeanor had caused the woman of the family deep concern. A red streak dripped from a shard of ice, marking the snow-covered road. The ice patch ahead was stained red as blood spread. When the ice bridge collapsed, nearly 100 demonic beings were dragged into the abyss. Exhausted, he clung to the cliff, staggering through the blizzard, mind in turmoil. Yet he had only advanced to stage 3, meaning about 60 foes were slain. 40 more still lurked somewhere, shooting into the abyss like an arrow. His move had been carefully calculated. At the bottom, he was certain a cold spring existed. As the ice shattered, he surged up amidst chaos. He landed on the soft snow exactly as planned. Jumping into the abyss was the only escape, but breaking ice again nearly drained him. Body temperature fell, blood loss continued, weakness set in, plus severe damage from the fall. Have I reached my limit? He asked himself in despair. Suddenly, a massive demonic beast appeared before him and opened its mouth to bare sharp fangs. Stepping closer slowly, it was the leader of the Ice Spring, a high-rank, extremely ferocious beast. In another scene, a blurry figure appeared with a warm voice. You're back. Why not visit me? And Lee smiled brightly, welcoming the return. The two embraced deeply. Xiaolin excitedly urged, Boss, Let's sneak out to feast tonight. Liuxuan, as usual, stood before the notice board, puzzled, asking others to check strange data, and Ruya, still gentle, softly asked if the wound on his head caused him pain. His soul seemed to fall into dark night, facing the cunning smile of the forest ruler, its teeth bared provocatively, the being sneered disdainfully. Go down there. The traitorous comrade also looked at him with contempt, repeating words of death. He clenched his fist, determination surging. I have no limits. I cannot be limited. Past life regrets burned within him. When the Ice Spring leader lunged, he grabbed its sharp fang without hesitation. The terrifying beast widened its eyes. Shocked at the act, he stared firmly, voice like steel. I will never let that happen again. Gathering all strength, he crushed the beast's head, as if reclaiming what was once lost. I have already experienced death once. Seizing the moment, he launched a powerful kick, resolve like steel, knocking out the leader's fang. I will not die again. With a decisive strike, he hurled the beast back, then collapsed on his hands, gasping in extreme exhaustion. As the Ice Spring leader growled and lunged, his spirit flared like raging fire. He stood tall, voice calm yet cold. Only supreme realms awaken professions to advance. With tranquil eyes, he controlled the beast, from provocation to abyss jump. All had been calculated. Behind him, the wolf monster still howled in chaos. The fangless Ice River leader roared furiously, while he pressed on into Pural, all to reclaim the fierce sensation of his past life. After surpassing the death realm, hormones surged to the limit. Emotions reignited. That outburst unlocked advancement, but lacking conditions, promotion failed. Even so, he comprehended a supreme technique of the core system swordsman. Though not promoted, he gained peak skill ahead of time. Still composed, he thrust his sword decisively, voice deep. Now it's my turn to wipe you out. His eyes were icy, unwavering, ready to fight. The Ice River leader, sensing provocation, rode in fury. Behind, the giant snow bear charged ferociously. He spun and unleashed a flawless sword strike, shouting the command, Pure Land. As the skill activated, his gaze flared violently. The beast was instantly cleaved in half, collapsing. System reported continuous experience from wolves and bears. Even the Ice River leader perished, yielding significant rewards. His hands burned with power, raised high in victory. System announced loot, upgrades, stat points, stamina restored, a fatigue erased. He clenched his fists, eyes blazing. Received a special title and superior ice resistance. Looking up at the steep cliff, he whispered, it's time to return for what's missing. While wiping his sword, he pondered. At grade 8, his power was overwhelming. Ultimate skill allowed concentrated damage and sweeping foes, but to trigger it required accumulated pain and exhaustion. Through this, he had fully recovered. Gripping the perilous cliff, he carefully climbed. System reactivated recovery. While climbing, he worried how long he had been trapped inside. He must return soon or his mother would be troubled. Storm winds howled, swirling across the sky. Distant bases lay buried in silent snow. Inside, Chuazi Shuanglin sat solemnly among slumbering subordinates. It closed its eyes silently, still as a cold statue. A faint sound echoed, its crimson eyes cracked open, cold light flashing. A strike from the roof of the base jolted the demon apes awake. Bayi descended, voice icy. We meet again. Now you've reached peak E10, with experience from the ice bear still stacking. In the real world, night of 23 per 5 2015. The clock struck 11. Ruyun stood by the window, heart restless. She wondered anxiously, where has my son gone? The prolonged delay made her even more fearful of misfortune. In the dark cave, a sudden noise startled Chuazi Shuanglin awake. The strike from above shocked the underlings. Some jumped up immediately, scanning the situation. Before them lay the corpse of the ice bear, huge like a floor carpet. Bayi stood tall upon it, voice icy. We meet again. Around him, piles of wolf corpses lay in chaos. The forest leader still sat behind the apes. Unmoving, he raised his head, sneering with contempt. Without hesitation, the apes charged fiercely. One rushed forward, unleashing a vicious strike. Bai's eyes blazed even fiercer. He swung his sword to block, then countered with a decisive slash. One ape fell. System awarded 70 experience. Blood splattered, and through the crimson veil he saw the leader's shocked gaze. It did not sit still, roaring as it leapt up and swung its staff. Mana erupted, casting a violent ice storm. He did not retreat, boldly charging forward. On contact with the mana, his body auto-triggered magic resistance. His ice resistance activated, reducing the freezing damage. Seeing him closing in, Shuanglin panicked and sprang up. He hurriedly pulled a stone staff from his pouch. The apes instantly formed a wall to shield him. Bayi spoke coldly. Once I take you down, you'll reach Rand. He triggered a flash skill, doubling speed, piercing straight through the shield wall. In an instant, the leader's staff arm was severed. It gaped in shock, staring at the blood gushing out, roaring in agony. Its eyes turned blood red, locked on the foe. Bayi remained calm, gaze resolute, uttering coldly, End it. A few brutal slashes tore the leader into fragments. System reported success. Ice Element Mage, leveled 11 slain, 1000 experience gained. He officially advanced to Core System Warrior ranked, leaving the apes frozen in fear. All attributes doubled, plus 12 points in reward items awaiting. Cloud Element energy fully gathered. A new profession about to unlock. He froze, suddenly remembering an important task almost forgotten in battle. The Cloud Element energy had fully met the conditions. System glowed. You have obtained Cloud Element Mage rank E, switchable anytime. Staring at the status board, he pondered, the only rank E. With 200% stats, my power equals a Core System Warrior ranked. Next notice, receive D rank artifact, Mana Stone 40 Elemental Force, 40 Spirit Force, spell range 50%, and a D rank magic pouch with 20 items. The demon apes gawked as he calmly collected all loot from the leader's corpse. He smirked faintly, a few small fry remain. He'll clean them up too. He instantly switched to Cloud Element Mage state. His excited voice rose. Let's test this new profession I've never used in the real world. Dawn of Sunday, 24/5/2015 arrived. At Xiaoyu's home, Ryun sat haggard, face pale from worry. The door creaked open. Bai quietly stepped inside. She looked up, eyes still wet with tears suddenly widening. Bai whispered softly, "Mother, sorry to keep you waiting." Ryun burst into joy, hugging her son tightly. He asked gently if she had waited and even not eaten. He proposed, "Mother, let's move away and leave him forever." Plan ready. He used the D-rank magic pouch, bringing only prized items and essential weapons. Below, a merchant inspected the diamond and offered 800 yuan. Bai firmly shouted 8,000. The man balked, haggled up from 2,000 to 3,000, finally grudgingly accepted 7,000 under his insistence. He pocketed the money, pleased, knowing the gem's true value from a past life. With the money, he could afford a decent house for his mother. In his previous life, she never had a single peaceful day. In this life, he only wished she lived carefree and happy. The realtor cheered and signed the lease. 15,000 yuan monthly, 3 months up front, utilities and management included, at 8 p.m. on 24/5/2015 in the warm new home. He smiled as his mother cooked and hummed. Peaceful smile returned after long. Home secure. He also advanced to rank D and gained Cloud Element Mage, yet he remained vigilant because the other was still imprisoned, so no complacency. Before finishing things, he cautiously postponed revenge and would return to school tomorrow. The bracelet he wore was a D-rank treasure, refining mana, 40 elemental and 40 spirit, spell range 50%. He tightened the bracelet, resolve igniting. Now is the time to hunt his target. Meanwhile, elsewhere at 8 p.m. Sunday 24/5/2015, another incident occurred. Bodyguards trudged behind, flattering but lacking progress. A girl hurriedly handed a water bottle, urging him to rest and regain strength. Kangxing waved it away, urging use of trials to train instead. He was arrogant, newly promoted to assassin level star E3, eager for simulation trials to prove his skill. At the same time, Enli stood at home, quietly admiring the city at night, holding papers. She complained this awakening class lacked valuable professions. The simulation seemed dull. Monday morning 7:30, 25/2015. A simple breakfast sat on the table in the cozy rented home. Ryun sat there, eyes bright with joy. Bai ate quickly, half asking why she hadn't woken him earlier. She smiled, saying she couldn't bear to wake him from good sleep. She patted his head reassuringly. Take it slow, being a bit late is fine. He savored that gesture, recalling rare peace in the calm breakfast with his mother. Suddenly, Ryun lightly tapped his shoulder. He startled, wide-eyed, asking if something was wrong. She smiled, hinting at a gift, asking if he wanted toys, books, or gadgets. Bai laughed innocently, since when is mother wanting to give gifts? She pointed to the calendar, revealing his birthday next week. Seeing 31/5 circled red, he realized it was his birthday. He sadly remembered in his past life his mother died and his birthday was forgotten. Biting a piece of cake, he pondered what he desired most. Looking at his simple mother, he smiled. What I once longed for, I now have. He quietly chewed the bun in silence. His eyes flashed with fierce determination. The next target was clear. Deal with that person at the Awakening High School. In the distance, the teacher's voice echoed on the field, reminding students about the weekend break. The combat instructor struck the table, solemnly announcing the start of health simulation training. Stressing its importance, the teacher stood upright, declaring the secondary school was directly under a mysterious organization, which monitored every student's actions. The simulated battle drill was the first chance for students to show ability after awakening, and it was also the junior high graduation exam broadcast entirely. Moreover, the top individual would be invited to join the high school cohort on a special cultivation trip. That trip was the only annual chance to meet directly with the organization's leadership. The teacher continued, the school would select outstanding students from both junior and senior levels to send to Shenghe-gu, the organization's headquarters. Bai stood in line, memorizing the information carefully. Xinghe-go was where Bai once met his master and also the homeland of that man. However, there had never been any relation between master and that man before. That man only joined the organization after Bai became a member, so the shortest path to meet him was to excel in the simulation exam and enter the cultivation group. A nearby student shouted in excitement about Friday's simulation, both eager and worried, while the bespectacled one whispered concern, saying rumor had it they'd enter a demon zone. Unsure if he could manage, the training instructor slammed the side door, firmly ordering the session to begin, first trial being endurance in the gravity room requiring 10 shuttle runs. The student in front of Bai pumped himself up, vowing to give his all and run double, sharing determined energy. Meanwhile, Bai remained still, slightly frowning as if calculating something personal. Groups of students entered the training zone in long lines. Bai lifted his head to face the teacher, calmly but firmly asking permission to skip this room. Students ahead turned back simultaneously, eyes filled with shock. The instructor frowned, clearly displeased, calling Bai's name. He mentioned Bai's clash with Klangxing last weekend and warned that beating one with a profession didn't mean he could scorn training. Bai ignored the teacher's tone, directly saying he wanted a more advanced type of training. The unexpected request made the teacher pause, puzzled, asking if Bai thought his method was flowed. Bai calmly explained that endurance drills in the gravity room suited speed-focused professions like warriors or assassins, but weren't for everyone. He further analyzed that for professions like mages or frost users, the elemental chamber was more effective, since focusing on personal attributes best optimized ability. The teacher's face flushed red, his voice tense as if offended by the criticism of his methods. Standing aside, Sainan quietly observed and noticed Bai's words matched the training model once mentioned by Mir Dongyang of the organization. The model had just been announced. Without the tape my father brought back I wouldn't know. Yet surprisingly Bai thought the same as Mir Dongyang. A student tugged Bai and whispered that even with opinions, he should show respect since the teacher was the most trusted in school. Not speak so bluntly, the combat instructor suddenly put his hand on Bai's shoulder and called his name, startling his friend nearby. The teacher laughed excitedly, saying the training method sounded interesting and admitted he hadn't considered it carefully. The bespectacled friend sighed in relief, mumbling that it was really lucky. The teacher returned to the main point seriously, explaining the school had too many students to train individually in a short time, and the combat simulation was a crucial test where failure could ruin their future. He paused, pondering whether as a teacher he should intervene to shape their futures or let them decide themselves, a difficult dilemma. Bai silently felt grateful, remembering in his past life he met devoted teachers who helped him grow despite hardship. He looked up firmly and promised he would not disappoint the teacher in the graduation performance. The teacher folded his arms, studied him carefully, and asked how he wanted to be trained while confirming if he had awakened as a warrior type. Bai nodded and pointed to the sealed room, asking the teacher to maximize element nullification inside the element chamber. Two nearby classmates exclaimed in surprise, "Element chamber." Bai awkwardly excused that as a warrior he wanted more balanced abilities and to test weaknesses, while secretly lamenting he could not admit he also aimed to train as a cloud element mage. Saiyin eagerly added that she too wanted to practice elemental control and happened to be a mage, making the teacher sigh while patting her head and reminding her not to embarrass him in the final test. Saiyin suggested sparring with Bai, but he coldly refused, saying he wanted a private room. She persisted in persuading, and he only replied briefly, She smiled brightly, her spirit igniting, saying he had sparked her fighting will. The bespectacled friend grumbled about wanting to slack off. Then the teacher suddenly appeared behind him and sternly said no. In the freezing room, Beatty told himself his warrior class was familiar while being a mage was new, so he must quickly master it. 790 he clenched his hand, determined to hide his secret ace and not let anyone know he had another class because the school is monitored by the Divine Crafts Guild and all actions can be detected. If exposed too early, he would quickly become a target. Saiyin in the next room vowed not to give up, and when the alarm system sounded, Beatty resolved to cut off unnecessary relationships so he wouldn't be distracted from his goal. After class, under the sunset, he quietly pushed his bike to the gate and hurried away, not wanting to stop. Two familiar voices called from behind, making Beatty sigh. Slightly annoyed because he had already expected them, the two friends struggled to catch up, gasping and begging him not to walk so fast. Seeing them, middle school memories returned, friends who shared hardships and rare moments of joy in difficult years. In this life, Beatty's goal was revenge, and that fire kept him from indulging in useless social ties. He only glanced at the bespectacled friend, then silently rode away, leaving shocked stares and complaints, while the quieter one realized he had grown much stronger. Since awakening, Beatty seemed reborn, radiating a cold confidence unlike before. They grumbled, wondering why he rode off yet still seemed willing to wait for those walking. He stopped by the roadside, turned back, and called directly to the bespectacled one. Under the dim evening light, he coldly told him to get his lungs checked if he had time. words calm yet suggestive. The bespectacled one widened his eyes in shock, while the other excitedly claimed Baidi was only waiting to go home together. Before they could enjoy it, he sped off, dismissing that they couldn't catch up, angering one who accused him of mocking them. An argument erupted as they debated his training. One said he practiced little, the other angrily denied it. Riding, Baidi smiled faintly, eyes reflecting memory. In his past life, the bespectacled friend's severe lung disease forced him to drop school and die early. Though now he distanced himself for revenge, he still wished him peace. The other friend angrily scolded Baidi for becoming cold, while the bespectacled one admitted he had changed much but still felt familiar. Yet there remained a glimpse of sincerity in him as before. In Shenghe Nation, the recruit training ground carried a solemn atmosphere. A man lounged on a chair, curiously mentioning a new recruit joining the guild. Shining like a rising star, he smirked with interest, affirming it was the one who broke all records. In a small golden-lit dining room, a young man bowed humbly while reporting to Dong Yang, though pride still tinged his voice. On the evening of May 25th, in their warm rented home, Baidi sternly told his mother not to go out alone, promising to return early with food. Inwardly, he reminded himself it was still unsafe. He decided he must soon take his mother to a stable, peaceful place. In the prison for awakened ones, gloom filled the air as inmates lined up for meager meals. When it was Lin Sheng's turn, he stepped forward with shifty eyes and furtive gestures. He discreetly slipped money into the cook's hand. The cook's nod and sneer revealed everything was arranged, and tomorrow he could go out. On Tuesday, under the trees in the schoolyard, sunlight filtered through leaves onto the mottled ground. Baidi stood in thought, planning, telling himself he had basically grasped mage skills and now needed to master spell timing and elemental control for maximum effect. In another training room, the freckled boy blushed, gritting his teeth to finish 10 laps today. By Wednesday, under the blazing sun on the track, an atmosphere of burning determination filled the air. The bespectacled one collapsed, drenched in sweat, gasping, his body nearly exhausted. At the same time, Baidi walked out of the training room, calm and sharp-eyed as if just overcoming harsh trials. Two friends eagerly invited him to dinner, but he firmly refused, coldly saying he had to go home early. The freckled boy lost enthusiasm, spoke indifferently, his eyes clearly disappointed. Baidi waved him off and coldly remarked that his marksman skills were too slow and he needed more hand training. Hearing that, the freckled boy immediately cheered excitedly. On Thursday afternoon at the school clinic, the doctor carefully examined the lung film and seriously said it was fortunate to check in time. He explained the tumor in the lung was growing fast, very dangerous if treatment was delayed. He advised going soon to a big hospital for surgery, after which it would stabilize. The bespectacled one weakly nodded thanks, promising to schedule next week. In his mind echoed Baidi's earlier warning to check his lungs, shocking him that Baidi knew of the illness he himself hadn't realized. Without regular checkups and the T-scan, the dangerous tumor might have silently grown. Baidi's mysterious change unsettled him. The bespectacled one descended the stairs heavily, mind tangled with unanswered questions. Passing the hallway, he overheard students chatting excitedly, discussing Jiang Sheng cheating to level up quickly. Some doubted it, since normally one must risk in demon caverns to advance, but a voice revealed he had a private cavern at home simulating a battlefield to level safely. Hiding behind the wall, the bespectacled one held his breath, while the voice excitedly mentioned someone who dared to challenge Jiang Sheng last week. After class, they planned to gang up on that person to avenge last week's incident, their mocking laughter exposing their glee. This time, word was even carried a weapon to school, clearly intending to threaten or kill to assert dominance. Making the boy's heart clench in fear, he immediately bolted out of school, running as if chased, mind chaotic, repeatedly telling himself the situation was dangerous. The image of Jiang Sheng's cruel smile and his gang lying in ambush haunted him, making him imagine a trap in a deserted alley. Even upon reaching the gate, his steps faltered, doubting the point of trying. What could he do alone? He trembled, blaming his weakness. With no attack skills to defend himself, thinking maybe Baidi was already strong enough to handle it. Considering avoiding trouble with such people, he thought perhaps keeping distance was safest. With despicable people like Jiang Sheng, evasion was truly the right way to survive. He justified his retreat, yet before the cold sealed weapon room, determination suddenly flashed in his eyes and he stopped. A creaking sound rang as he broke the lock without hesitation. Driven by absolute resolve, pushing the door open, he stepped in with determination to save Baidi because Baidi had once saved him. In his heart, he was ready to sacrifice everything for the one who gave him life. That thought fueling his strength, he grabbed a bamboo baton hanging on the wall, gripping it tightly as if preparing for battle. His spirit surged like a warrior, shouting fiercely, "Baidi, wait for me!" Suddenly a strange voice startled him, heart pounding. "Why did you break the weapon room?" Cian emerged from the shadows, eyes wary, questioning his urgency with clear suspicion. He couldn't hold back and shouted, trembling with fear, "I must save Baidi." The news turned Cian's face pale, eyes showing panic as if realizing a great danger. In a desolate alley, Baidi silently pushed his bite, alone in the cold dusk, unaware of the lurking threat. Under the red sunset, Baidi coldly turned back, sharply questioning the follower. "You've trailed me since leaving school. What are you planning?" With no hint of fear, Jiang Sheng stepped out proudly, declaring he came to settle the debt from last weekend. Bai Di turned with disdainful eyes, smirking mockingly at his challenge. Jiang Sheng roared and charged like a storm, murderous intent surging. He was certain this time he wouldn't lose meaninglessly. The system displayed a tactical alert, attack from behind, infiltrate and withdraw. Bai Di reacted instantly, summoning his weapon, the blade gleaming in the sunlight. Without aiming, he slashed precisely, shattering Jiang Sheng's weapon in an instant. Jiang Sheng froze, eyes wide in shock at the unexpected power. Bai Di looked down coldly, piercing his belief that only he could level up. He spun the blade skillfully and stabbed down, silver edge radiating lethal aura. Jiang Sheng's eyes bulged in terror, speechless before the sudden turn. In this first clash, he hadn't realized the gap in strength. After harsh training, he now felt he could not overcome Bai Di's wall of power. To Jiang Sheng, Bai Di loomed like a massive authority, exuding crushing pressure. He screamed in panic and resentment, demanding how far Bai Di had advanced and by what means. He raged that he had risked his life in demon caverns but only gained 4 levels. Unable to understand Bai Di's faster progress, Bai Di's face stayed cold, mocking his reckless idea with scorn and irony. Under the sunset, Bai Di's blade stopped just inches from his head, slicing the air with icy menace. His voice rang out, cold as ice and threatening without exaggeration. Jiang Sheng, furious yet powerless, screamed that he was now in Bai Di's hands, even insulting his family. Suddenly Bai Di lowered his voice, calmly remarking that despite tailing him all the way, he hadn't chosen ambush or brought cronies, he only wanted to test his strength. That remark cut into Jiang Sheng's pride, making his face burn with anger. He roared furiously, demanding to kill or be killed, while Bai Di mocked that he had misunderstood and withdrew his earlier words. By the wall, the bespectacled one and Xi Yin held their breath, eyes filled with worry yet faint hope at the scene. The situation now allowed them to stay silent without acting further. Bai Di suddenly changed expression, stared at Jiang Sheng, and proposed a deal, saying he had waited long. I know a method for you to strengthen your power and improve speed. In return, you must hand me an item. On Friday, May 29th, in the school auditorium, tension rose as the teacher announced the end of training and the start of real combat simulation. He paused, scanning the students, then stressed he had one warning before proceeding. Though called a simulation, you will actually step into a real demon cavern. The barrier suppressed most of the cavern's power, but dangers remained. In dim light, the teacher sternly yet encouragingly warned of fierce demon beasts and told them to judge their own abilities, avoiding recklessness. For safety, the school invited top senior students as guides. They wouldn't fight directly but would intervene in life-threatening danger. Combat groups would have 4 to 5 members, each led by a senior with several juniors entering the mission. Additionally, students could choose challenges at F rank or A rank. The teacher gravely warned that A rank was extremely difficult, only for the strong, and failure could cost credits and harm their future. He signaled to start choosing difficulty. Once all decided, the school would assign teams by level and ask those wanting E rank to raise hands. Among the rows, only a few hands rose shyly, while Xian confidently lifted hers high. Beside another student, Jiang Sheng was cold and decisive, exuding his usual arrogant momentum. The bespectacled one whispered to the freckled friend, both surprised and worried at their confidence in choosing danger. The freckled one laughed boldly in challenge. The teacher checked the list and announced, 180 students total. 8 chose E rank. Xi Yin was surprised that Bai Di did not. He continued, saying the rest would be randomly assigned to lower-level maps. Suddenly a hand rose. Bai Di firmly requested the school's higher-level challenge. Voice resolute. Under flashing lights and suffocating astonishment, Bai Di's daring declaration stunned the combat teacher. The crowd took a moment to process, then erupted in shock, shouts echoing through the hall. From the shadows, Jiang Sheng glared at Bai Di with dark eyes full of jealousy and suspicion. The teacher, astonished and trembling, asked if he was joking who would choose a D-rank place. A cold voice cut through, breaking the atmosphere, drawing Bai Di's gaze. It was Hong Liang, face stern, firmly opposing as he claimed D rank was beyond normal students' limits. Bai Di calmly replied with cold eyes that the guide never forbade D-level trials. He stressed that combat rules allow free choice, and the school's goal is to find talents with courage, strength, and aptitude. His mocking tone questioned if the teacher wanted to strip him of the chance to prove himself. Hong Liang flushed angrily, arguing that the abyss required teams. No one could go alone. Bai Di bluntly declared he was capable enough by himself. Hong Liang sternly invoked safety rules to absolutely forbid solo entry. Unexpectedly, Qian spoke up, eagerly declaring she would choose D-level. Her radiant face and bright eyes made the hall erupt in shock again. Hong Liang panicked and scolded, mentioning her father, but Qian firmly insisted she wanted to conquer and excel. Her words only fueled Hong Liang's fury, his face turning crimson. Bai Di coldly glanced at Qian's fervent expression. He firmly refused to join, stating he would go alone. In the suffocating atmosphere, Qian blushed angrily, but the combat instructor gently stopped her, implying resistance was useless. Hong Liang seized the chance, shouting harshly that both were arrogant despite just awakening. The combat instructor pondered, noting only Bai Di and Qian registered for D-level, but no senior dared to lead. At that moment, a hand rose with a proud voice volunteering. Xiling appeared with his group, arrogant and overconfident, declaring himself like a protector. The teacher, seeing Xiling step up, nodded in relief. Feeling reassured, Qian edged closer to Baida, whispering cautiously that Xiling was about to join the Supreme Corporation. Baida silently observed the young man, eyes sharp, weighing him in thought. He had never heard of that organization's name. In contrast, Xiling glanced at Baidi with contempt, smirking as if he were a reckless weakling. Soon after, the combat instructor signaled assembly, sternly announcing team division was complete. He declared the examination begun. The whole process streamed live by pro devices. He urged students to give their all to fight for the top ranks. Baidi calmly faced forward, eyes firm, unmoved by the words. The school, built above a massive abyss now cleared, seemed to beckon Baidi to test will and strength. In the tense hall, magical light gates opened, leading to mysterious instances. Students passed through one by one to embark on proving their courage and power. Large complex abysses usually contain many small low-level zones for training. The levels were strictly ranked from F to D. They ensured proper challenge without exceeding students' limits. As the group crossed the gate, the simulated combat began, fully streamed to the school. Baidi led with Xiling and Qian, reminding himself to hide his trump card, since the Lingyu Abyss held what he needed. The three, each with different moods, finally stepped into the cold darkness of the abyss. Xiling held his head high, boasting he would protect them since he had conquered a D-level instance before. Qian curiously asked about monster strength, and Xiling calmly explained most range from E5 to D5, rarely D-tier or bosses. He sternly emphasized never to underestimate high-rank E-monsters. They had terrifying speed and power, like chicks before claws for rookies. Qian nodded seriously. Xiling, satisfied, thumped his chest, promising to help her gain points from weak monsters and protect her like a senior. Soon after, he grew angry seeing Baidi move ahead, harshly warning it might trigger monsters. Baidi coldly cut him off, sharp voice accusing him of talking too much. He turned back, heavy gaze, threatening in a deep tone that Xiling should just stay behind and not interfere. These words made Xiling tremble with rage, gritting teeth and cursing furiously. Their movement inside the abyss was broadcast clearly on the surveillance screen. This year's combat trial began, drawing every student's attention as they crowded around the big outdoor display. Even in private rooms, all eyes were glued, waiting to see who would shine. In the room marked Supreme Corps, the atmosphere surged with excitement and curiosity. The vice captain, relaxed and slyly smiling, urged the captain to watch the broadcast for some fun. He revealed that a student had chosen a D-level instance. Girl nearby, surprised, tilted her head and immediately asked about that person's profession. The vice captain laughed with interest, revealing it was a green warrior, the weakest class. In a sealed level abyss, cold and gloomy, a trembling student shook a bell, stammering in fear and begging. In front of him, teammates fought desperately, sweat and blood streaming down their faces. A female teammate, helpless but gentle, reassured him, telling him only to chant support spells behind. But when two fierce E-level beasts lunged, he screamed in terror, lamenting the ordeal was too horrific. In another E-level abyss, amid rubble and the stench of blood, sharp-fanged beasts and stealth predators shrieked wildly. The student team lay badly wounded. A sweating healer struggled to cure while anxiously asking after them. Kaixing rose, eyes blazing with resolve, shouting he would face them all alone. He charged, dagger stabbing the beasts, vowing never to accept defeat. In the D-level instance, Baidi studied the monster data. Attack 32%, critical 20%, lifesteal 15%. He calmly swung his blade, silver light flashing, killing the monster instantly as the system awarded experience. Around him lay piles of corpses, with repeated notifications of successful kills. In the dim glow of a magic array, Xiling was stunned by the sight, while Qian, thrilled, rushed to ask how he did it. Baidi didn't answer immediately, only eyed two giant spiders that appeared, then spoke calmly. He explained evenly that monsters here were sealed to half strength, so they weren't too hard to handle. Qian, still full of admiration, admitted that even halved, Baidi could easily fight many at once. Baidi replied indifferently, hinting that one should not compare oneself with others. He added coldly that being oneself was enough. Qian ignored his distance, smiling brightly, promising to try even if he spoke coldly. Xiling nearby flushed with anger, cursing inwardly. Irritated at Baidi being praised, Xiling stepped up, heavy-voiced, warning this was a D-level instance and arrogance was dangerous. He kept acting superior, saying the display was fine but reminded that the triple path entry was tough. Lecturing like a senior, Baidi ignored him, turning instead to assign Qian the right side while he took the left. He swiftly dodged Xiling's hand reaching for his head, refusing contact. As monsters began closing in menacingly, being ignored, Xiling muttered angrily, deeply annoyed. Baidi asked Qian if she could handle it alone. She hesitated briefly, while Xiling clenched his teeth at being ignored again. Baidi disregarded him, sternly reminding Qian this was a personal test. He recalled her goal, saying she entered to earn achievements. Didn't she? Qian brightened at that, answering confidently that she could do it. Xiling, constantly overlooked. Cursed inwardly in fury, seizing the chance while unnoticed, he secretly summoned his weapon, eyes flashing with killing intent. Outside, the big screen showed piles of monster corpses, and students buzzed in awe at Baida's power. One asked about his current level. Another excitedly replied the system still showed E1, but guessed his true strength was E3 or E4. The crowd chatted eagerly, admiring how he assigned Chi-Yin's fire element to counter ice monsters. Another praised his overall vision, making the combat instructor nod in approval at his student's analysis. He suddenly recalled Baida's earlier words before entering the abyss, promising not to disappoint. Now the teacher smiled in anticipation, admitting the boy had not boasted. In the cold, roaring Ling Yu instance, Baidi fought while sharply observing, eyes like blades. He judged most ice monsters came from the right cave, countered by Chi-Yin's fire, then cut down each with practiced moves. On the other side, Chi-Yin focused intensely, moving agilely and handling monsters well. Suddenly, a monster lunged at her from behind. Unfazed, she instantly raised vine walls, binding the enemy tightly. She followed with another spell, shouting the command firmly. The monster was squeezed as poison spread from the thorns. Bringing it down, the system announced the kill of an S6 monster, awarding 30 experience points. Chi-Yin cheered happily, proud of her victory. From afar, Beatty glanced at her with slight approval, thinking that a basic E rank mage had now grasped her class skills. He analyzed her fire-based skill, using fast-growing plants to bind with poison effects. He secretly praised her, first time in the abyss, yet she calmly handled a stronger monster and narrowed attack range. In the 5-colored array's reflection on stone walls, Baidia observed carefully, confirming all D-level monsters were sealed. Their power was halved, enough for Chi-Yin to handle alone. He exhaled slightly, thinking he could still hide his strength while achieving high results despite the recording devices. Yet he stayed cautious, weighing strategies to finish objectives without revealing too much. Meanwhile, Zieling, endlessly ignored, exploded with fury, face flushed, eyes burning with hatred. He raged at being treated with contempt. Feeling humiliated as a senior, he gripped his summoned bow tightly, aiming at Chi-Yin. With a cruel smirk, he muttered provocations. He released, the arrow whistling past dangerously close to her, then it buried itself straight into the dark cave ahead. Chi-Yin, startled, turned to see him feigning innocence, shrugging that he only meant to help, leaving her trembling. Before she could speak fully, a massive beast suddenly burst out of the cave. It roared, blood-red eyes glaring, charging at the girl, a two-headed D11 beast. From afar, Baidi instantly sensed the disturbance, his icy gaze locking on Chi-Yin. The raging beast bit and smashed at the thorn wall, its strength making the vines quake violently. Panicking, she could only struggle to resist. Flames spewed from its mouth, devouring the thorny defense entirely. The two-headed monster roared and lunged straight for Chi-Yin. A sense of despair rose in her heart. No hope left. Zieling smirked coldly, gripping his weapon, activating extreme speed skills, preparing to strike, but Baidi acted first, flashing in like thunder, blades slashing. The one head narrowly dodged, the other head immediately lunged at Chi-Yin. Without hesitation, Baidi activated his extreme speed skill, his figure flashing, slashing one head aside and shielding her at the crucial moment. After pushing it back, he pulled her behind him, eyes locked on the beast, suspicion rising at its abnormal speed. Meanwhile, Zieling sneered, claiming he knew the situation, revealing the beast was unsealed. He mocked that rookies could never stand against a D-level creature. Furthermore, he had empowered it with skills, reduced gravity, boosted speed and damage, making it the fastest of its kind. Wounded on the face, the beast entered berserk mode, rage skyrocketing its strength and speed. Baidi held steady, but uneased gnawed inside, wondering if he should unleash his full power now. In a deep voice, he told Chi-Yin to retreat, as she couldn't cope, shocking her and making her blame herself for weakness. The beast lunged again, fangs flashing under the array's glow. Chi-Yin instantly summoned a defensive vine wall. Green tendrils wrapped the beast, restraining it as it thrashed violently. She gritted her teeth, adding more bindings, stacking up 3 layers. With skillful control, the vines kept growing, locking the beast tight so it only roared in vain. Beide, seeing her firm resolve, paused briefly, a hint of surprise in his eyes. Chi-Yin looked straight ahead, boldly proposing to fight alongside, vowing not to be a burden even against a D-level foe. Zieling froze, inwardly cursing that the girl was crazy, nearly eaten yet still wanted to charge in. In contrast, Baidi gave a rare laugh, eyes full of approval. Thinking she recovered faster than he expected, she answered firmly, brimming with resolve, summoning layers of thorny vines to attack. He sternly warned her that her elemental power was nearly spent and not to waste it, but Chi-Yin insisted she had accounted for it. In that moment, Baidi suddenly recalled his past life. At that time, Chi-Yin shone like a young star brimming with confidence, noble-born, yet she was friendly, exemplary, leading her class with admirable responsibility. Then she suddenly vanished from her peers' sight, seemingly choosing a quiet life. Now, she stood before him as a reliable comrade, and as long as no variables arose, his plan to hide his strength would remain intact. seeing them cooperate against the beast. Zealing sneered, thinking the vine wall wouldn't hold long. He mocked that with their current ability, they couldn't withstand an empowered creature. Deep inside, he plotted to wait until they begged for help, then teach them their place. Sure enough, the monster soon roared, tearing free from the bindings with ease. Baidi immediately ordered he would lure the core beast, and she must seize the timing. Qian nodded firmly. As the beast charged like a storm, the two quickly split to opposite sides. While running, Baidi glanced back to confirm he had drawn its full attention onto himself. He accelerated straight toward the nearby lake. Without hesitation, he leapt into the icy water. The furious beast dove in right after him. Underwater, it slowed drastically, and Baidi shouted, "Now is the time." Qian instantly cast her spell, raising vine walls to bind the beast. One head was crushed by thorns until blood spurted. The other head roared fiercely in rage. She clenched her teeth, pressing harder to tighten the vines further. Soon, the beast was locked in place, its berserk state and core powers weakening. While poison spread, Baidi leapt ashore, swinging his blade in a spinning slash. He smiled confidently, declaring it had no escape, then encouraged Qian to finish the trial with the highest score. Xiling was dumbstruck with fear, unable to believe vine walls could restrain such a beast. Even he, with the enhanced creature, could barely achieve that. He gnashed his teeth, cursing in seething rage. In the monitoring room, teachers discussed excitedly. One pointed out how water restrained the core element while the plant element gained great advantage. The combat instructor nodded in praise, saying thanks to elemental countering and teamwork, the two had beaten above their level. With Baidi's command especially outstanding, everyone was convinced victory was certain. Only the final strike remained. If the footage were sent to the guild, it would set a record score. But suddenly the screen went dark, shocking all. The camera system unexpectedly shut off. The recorder smoked and burned while the battle was unfinished. In a dark corner, Xiling smirked wickedly, pleased that no proof of their high score remained. But then, the system announced the D-level beast's defeat with 100 experience awarded. Baidi exhaled in relief, thanking his teammate, though she denied credit, while he insisted her elemental resistance was the key. Hearing that, Qian was stunned, repeating the concept in confusion. As they discussed, Xiling rudely cut in, scolding them to stop talking nonsense and leave. With that, he turned his back and walked away angrily. Baidi coldly questioned him, hinting that he knew well what it meant for a freshman to face an enhanced D-level monster. Xiling snapped back, claiming he only meant to help Qian grow stronger, but she avoided it. Baidi retorted that his skill was truly weak. Xiling's eyes narrowed, filled with hateful killing intent. Baidi, unafraid, pressed further, stressing that as an archer, was that really his best shot? Qian suddenly understood, sneering that no wonder Xiling wasn't chosen for the school's elite group. Xiling lost control, drawing his weapon and shouting accusations at them both. But Baidi and Qian remained calm, gazes steady and provoking. Realizing his disadvantage, he clenched his teeth and had to sheath his weapon. He spat threats bitterly, warning the road ahead would show them. With that, he stormed toward the exit. On the way out, the two passed by the scene. They discovered the camera device was completely destroyed. Qian angrily condemned the senior's vile nature, asking what Baidi was doing checking the device. He silently guessed Xiling broke it to block their score, but also realized he still had time to act. That thought made Baidi smile unknowingly. As the enemy had actually opened an opportunity, Qian widened her eyes in confusion, urgently asking what he was plotting. He gave no explanation, only leading her toward the sealed cave in the trial zone. Staring deep inside, he solemnly asked her to keep absolute secrecy, since no one would believe it even if told. She grew more puzzled, pressing him repeatedly about what he intended. He quietly reached into his pocket. He recalled the deal with Hong Kong Sheng, including the condition of handing over the seal-breaking demon stone. Now, that stone was firmly in his hand. Placing it on the rock at the cave entrance, he calmly declared he would unseal the Lingyu abyss. At once, he poured energy into the stone. A terrifying aura burst out, making Qian scream in alarm that unsealing would release high-level beasts. But it was too late. The surge of demonic power shattered the seal. Baidi calmly reassured her, stressing the beast's power was still limited. Qian trembled, fearing they couldn't handle the whole horde. He cut her off coldly, drawing his weapon and declaring no one else was needed. Energy around his body shifted violently. Qian stammered in shock, calling his name. She was stunned, unable to believe her eyes. Baidi had switched class to mage, calmly declaring he alone was enough. She screamed in disbelief that he could even become a mage. He gave no explanation, only instructing her to guard the cave entrance. At that moment, pride of lions burst out of the broken seal. They tore through iron chains, charging together straight at Baidi. Qian turned pale, frantically shouting for him to be careful, but as the lions closed in, Baidi's staff flared with light. He had switched class to Cloud Mage. E5, immediately casting Frost. The ice surge froze the charging lions momentarily. Qian gasped, covering her mouth, unable to believe a red class mage could immobilize three at once in an instant. After freezing them, Baidi calmly noted the beasts had been imprisoned too long, driven mad, and would soon pour out in waves. He requested a larger combat space. Understanding instantly, Qian stepped back to clear room, replying crisply that she understood. From deep in the cave came the pounding sounds of more beasts rushing. Pack of flame jaguars. D2 charged out, eyes glowing red. Bai dodged with ease, noting they had been sealed for years, cutting their combat strength in half. He unleashed frost again, condensed into sharp icicles that pinned the jaguars. As he calculated control strategy while casting, suddenly, a flame swordsman, D3, circled behind an ambush. Bai instantly switched to core warrior, slashing to block the strike. His lips curled coldly, mocking the would-be sneak attacker. Then his figure vanished, reappearing above the beast, reverting to Cloud Mage. A frost spell crashed down, freezing the flame swordsman solid. Qian's eyes went wide, shocked he could freely switch classes. Watching his methods, she realized why he once wanted access to the elemental chamber. She suddenly grasped that elemental resistance wasn't just boosting mana, but controlling the natural forces around oneself. She had thought unleashing more energy made one strong, but seeing Bai showed her that control was the true key. Elements were wild and hard to master, only full control could unleash endless variations. Even a basic skill could be reshaped into countless attack forms. Watching Bai dominate calmly, she stood dumbfounded. His every move was so practiced, as if long familiar with it. The gap between them and him had already been vast for a long time. She lowered her head, clenched her hands, admiring yet emotional, secretly thinking he was too cool. At that moment, heavy footsteps echoed from deep within the cave. The Lin Yu Abyss overlord the Hell Mammoth, D15 appeared, even halved in strength still radiating overwhelming pressure. Bai smirked in satisfaction. Finally it came out. The mammoth roared and charged like a storm. Bai switched to core warrior mode, lowered his stance, and prepared to fight. Bai coldly declared that what he needed was on the opponent's body. After speaking, he leapt forward and stabbed precisely at its vital point. Without stopping, he dragged his blade across its back. The mammoth staggered, ready to collapse before counterattacking. Bai stepped back and quickly judged its strength equal to a level 10 lion due to the seal. The beast shook its head, regaining clarity for a moment. It roared again and charged forward. Bai jumped high once more. He unleashed a storm of sharp slashes like heavy rain. With just a few strikes, the mammoth fell under the combo. A fierce light flashed in Bai's eyes. He gathered power and unleashed a deadly blade strike. The system announced activation of the Title 1 against 100. Messages appeared. Killed Flame Leopard level 2. Gained 110 experience. Defeated Two-Headed Lion D level 11. Gained 100 experience. Beat Hell Mammoth D level 15. Received 1000 experience and 10 bone coins worth 10,000. Obtained King Fang. Rare material to forge Xi and Wushang, and Srank core weapon. Bai's stats rose greatly. Fire 3,500, Core 3,200, Essence 1,450. He collected all the spoils. Approaching the mammoth's corpse, he noticed a glowing gem. It was the king gem with special power. Bai sighed in relief, murmuring that he had finally obtained it. A flurry of level-up alerts filled the sky as Bai exhaled in relief. His mage class finally hit rank D. Elsewhere, Qian was snapped out of her daze among corpses by a sudden voice behind her. The doctor's sharp gaze cut through, asking her directly about the previous instructions. Her face froze like a lagging screen, utterly clueless. In another corner, Lu Feng and his team fretted that the ancient seal might have broken something unheard of before. Spotting Ziling, Lu Feng instantly demanded why she was here instead of on her mission. Without waiting, he bolted off, suspicion knowing that the seal had truly fallen. But just as they turned away, Ziling's sly smirk bloomed, her earlier gloom twisting into blatant glee. Lu Feng charged through the Crimson Gate, shouting for Bai and Qian. Seeing both alive, the knot of fear in everyone unraveled at once. Bai wasted no time and bluntly asked Lu Feng why he was here. Before anyone could answer, Hongyi sighed softly, dispersing doubt with a single calming line. That weekend afternoon, Xiling secretly met the vice captain to finish their shady deal. Seeing him silent, she tried probing about the submitted file. To her shock, the vice captain coldly said the position was already taken. The news froze her mind in a whirl of confusion. Agitated, she lost her cool, questioning her own worth and background. A match cut in for the vice captain, confirming the right person had already been chosen. Enlil sneered, marking Bai as someone to watch out for. That night, on day 295, in a dingy diner, Jin Yu warned his partner trouble was closing in. Lin Sheng ate lazily, tossing out indifferent replies. Jin Yu caught the chill in that tone. His eyes sharpening, he leaned in, whispering that Captain Hong would arrive Friday, only to get a flat got it. Their talk broke off as a phone rang nonstop. Seeing the caller Jin Yu sighed helplessly, saying he'd returned to the team first and told the other to leave soon. Once Jin Yu left, Lin Sheng murmured cryptically, darkness clouding his gaze. Arriving home, he met the furious stare of the old man waiting inside. The empty house made the man roar. Not knowing where the mother and child had fled, he screamed, smashing everything in blind rage. Those useless wretches dared slip my grasp. If I catch them again, he roared, shattering glass as murky energy spread, cruelty gleaming in his eyes. Meanwhile, Bai gently placed a gem necklace called the Resonant Jade around his mother's neck. His soft but firm voice told her to always keep it close for safety. Then he handed her a twin piece, saying they were perfectly linked. If danger comes, crush it, ill sense it instantly and come, bowing slightly. He whispered that he couldn't rest easy without it. His heart ached, knowing his mother never owned a single piece of jewelry. The woman had lived her whole life for others, never once for herself, untouched by feminine grace. Still, she smiled and signed for him to spend weekends with friends. Beatty firmly replied he lacked nothing at all. But really, who doesn't need friends? After all, humans crave bonds that truly matter. Staring into the mirror, he pondered those once dear to him. Would fate ever let him see them again? Everything set. At exactly 11:58, he stepped into the Drank Demon Crypt. It opened only briefly between midnight and 1, so every second mattered for power. Without hesitation, he dove straight into the secret realm. Instantly, data popped up: Wild Silent D, Level 15, and Blood of Erring Blossom D, LV 13. In his past life, even as a peak warrior, had watched comrades fall one by one. Friendship, had it, lost it. He scoffed inwardly, charging in blade tightened. Cold mechanical voice congratulated him: Blood of Erring Blossom slain. 260 XP and 1 bloodstained petal earned. Pouring strength into a clean slash at Wild Silent, he reminded himself never to slip again. He had to go farther, stronger beyond all limits. System update: Wild Silent defeated. 320 XP gained. Still too slow, his pace couldn't yet surpass everyone else. He pushed deeper toward the core, where abominations swarmed, aiming to outshine all rivals. Amid crimson light and shrieking echoes, he raged forth without pause. Another Wild Silent fell, system recording yet another kill. Notifications boomed nonstop, victories stacking, his will burning brighter. Yet he was still too weak. Even his greatest foe remained unbeaten. Shin Lan, a metal-type prodigy since childhood, knew only one path: advance endlessly. Fearless, he slipped deeper into the horde-choked zone. His sword flared blue, slicing the air like searing fire. He unleashed his ultimate art, 1 point pure domain. The blade tore space apart in a single instant. Every monster within range burned to ash. After the brutal clash, Pure Domain partially restored his strength, but time was nearly up, only 20 minutes before the gate sealed, and the Lord before the timer hits 0. The thought rang like an alarm. With 13 seconds left, he reached the summit where the boss awaited, issuing a cold challenge. Then, out of nowhere, chaos struck and caught him off guard. A colossal beast lunged at impossible speed. In a blink, was behind Yi Wuming, the level 20 lord, striking like thunder. Instinctively, he spun and countered with a reverse slash. The blade was so sharp it severed the creature's arm clean off. Yi Wuming stared at his lost limb, then instantly triggered regeneration. A new arm grew perfectly back as if nothing happened. He couldn't hide his shock that recovery was beyond reason. Suddenly, the monster bit into the ground, making countless roots rise like sentient snakes. As he turned his head, before him loomed a nightmare. The Blood of Erring Blossoms had slain were alive again. He narrowed his gaze, muttering how the dead beast could possibly revive. A Drank Lord shouldn't possess resurrection skills like this. In that brief lapse, something blurred toward him at wind-slicing speed. Pain exploded in his lower abdomen, no time to guard. A root had pierced through his back, and he realized in horror 2 lords were here at once. The second appeared: Shi Wuming, level 20, twin brother of Mai Wuming. Together, they were a killing duet, terrifyingly synchronized. This time, Beatty had to face both alone. The clock ticked down, only 1 minute left as it struck 12:59. A 100 and the magic gate sealed completely bagged and never came out. By 6 storm clouds wept cold. Heavy rain. Ruyun, Beatty's mother, was consumed with worry another day. No word from her son, fearing he'd rushed into danger again. She set off to find him, unable to wait longer. Meanwhile, his drunken father Lin Sheng cursed bitterly, mocking their silent departure. His dark, murderous gaze fell on their old house. At the same time, Ruyun, restless with fear, dashed out into the pouring rain, but the moment she stepped outside, she froze, stunned. Thunder roared, a warning of the calamity to come. Meanwhile, in the secret battlefield, Beatty still struggled amid the horde. His body long exhausted. This was the 5th relentless assault. No matter how many he slew, the monsters kept reviving endlessly. His life force waned, yet beasts swarmed. 1 Blood of Erring Blossom gave only 1 XP. The endless fights grew pointless, rewards dropping fast. He analyzed grimly, seeking the root of this resurrection as the twin lords sneered. Without hesitation, he triggered Flash Shield, breaking through to the front. A full-powered slash struck, but the foe countered with equal might. Beatty twisted aside, eyes narrowing, brain racing for the next move. With a skillful dodge, he sliced across the enemy's chest, then stabbed straight at the vital point. Mai Wuming howled in agony. Yet in a blink, the wound vanished completely. Seeing this, he deduced not just the minions but even the lords had rapid self-heal and mutual recovery. Had even decapitated one still. It regenerated perfectly. One revived. One healed, an unholy combo. Only a strength healer could restore like that. Were they fed by hidden energy? Or was there a secret healing nexus here? Shi Wuming suddenly sped up, his form flickering as he appeared behind with a killing punch of icy malice. Beatty reacted instantly, using the skill cut path to split the damage and lessen the blow. Without missing a beat, he countered with the sword art cut matter. Strangely, mid-battle, the enemy began mimicking his techniques. In seconds, its wounded body fully regenerated again. For the first time, the monster spoke clearly, "You are strong." Its body was whole again, but Baidi's sharp eyes noticed something off. The healing energy came from a massive tree behind it, constantly channeling power. How? So the flower-type fiends use an ancient tree as their recovery core. Seizing the chance, he dashed toward it, slicing down a blocker and wrote. That tree was broadcasting revival energy across the entire zone. Sensing danger, the monsters shrieked and tried to retaliate, but too late. One slash ripped the air apart, cleaving the tree with a mortal wound. Baidi smirked coldly. "Take the root." End the nightmare. The tree collapsed thunderously as he switched to Cloud Mage mode. Summoning his staff from above, given no time to react, he hunted down the remaining trees amid panicked screams. But too late, the staff finished charging and unleashed ice transmutation. All domain-level monsters froze solid like crystal statues in an instant. Next, he switched to Core Warrior mode, cutting down the remaining foes. No more revivals. My guess was right, he thought. Once the tree fell, their healing vanished. He had slain my Wooming, level 20 Lord, earning 2,500 XP and 100 Spirit Herb, a supreme healing item. With the power source gone, the rest disintegrated into dust. Only one final boss remained on the battlefield. Badi pointed his sword at it. Eyes sharp as blades. "Your turn." The last creature trembled in fear, but then it suddenly stood up, surprising him for a heartbeat. She Wooming spoke in a wary voice. "End me." Badi laughed mockingly, a lord wanting death for kin. "Fine, I'll oblige." He charged, landing the final strike. The foe didn't resist and fell instantly. 2,500 XP gained. He also obtained Toxic Thorn, a rare flowermint weapon material. As the last boss fell, the dungeon gate opened, sunlight spilling in like victory's call. Then, the system announced Flower Element Essence Max New Profession Awakening. He raised a brow, curiosity stirring. Had the flower path reached its peak? What would the new class be? He recalled his previous red class awakening, wondering what color this one would bring. When the result appeared, he felt slightly let down. Just a blue class. Still, he stayed rational. A summoner did need high stats, just mastery. Scrolling down, he found its title: Pact of Spirit Bloom, a contract with the evil spirit you. A spark flashed in his mind. If that's true, could the two fallen bosses also? A bold idea surged, and just as he guessed, faint twin souls drifted above the corpses of Mai and Shi Wooming. Beatty calmly approached, casting Spirit Bloom Pact to summon both souls, which began regaining their original forms. Meanwhile, Lin Sheng stood outside a rental house when his phone rang. "Who the hell calls at this hour?" he growled, picking up, but upon hearing the caller's name, he froze. Was it really the officer? I'm invited to Captain Hongya's party too. Ha! Insane, a lifetime shot. Time to go big and reclaim my spot. Grinning, he strutted off, humming broken tunes. "Today's a lucky day, luck red as blood," he muttered. He even thought maybe he should find an old flame, reigniting old sparks. At that moment, Beatty returned to the dorm, holding rain-soaked vegetables. "Mom, why'd you come down here? It's pouring." He rushed to take the groceries from her hands. "Let's go home." "Mom, back home." Ruyan suddenly wore a new, glimmering bracelet. Her gentle eyes teased him. "Silly, didn't you say you'd get a Mother's Day gift tonight? I thought you couldn't talk, so you wouldn't know." He chuckled. Back in his room, he lay down quietly, eyes fixed on the ceiling and thought. Now he had 3 professions: Green-type Warrior, Blue-type Summoner, and Red-type Mage 2 already at rank. A solid leap forward. He frowned slightly, recalling that man in prison for 21 days. Yet it was only day 10. Knowing his nature, he'd probably bribe his way out early, so Beatty prepared for any surprise. As Sunday's dawn pierced gray clouds, he stood before the demon crypt again, resolved that running forever wasn't the answer. It was time to settle everything before his true cultivation began. That thought pushed him forward through another gate, where a new trial awaited. Soon, his footprints marked every devlin from Orang crypts to Drank foes, all falling before his growing might. Sunday afternoon drifted by gently, but Beatty allowed himself no rest. Every minute mattered. He had to reach rank C fast. Then the system pinged. A hidden Drank crypt of unknown danger awaited the brave. Clenching his fist, his resolve flared. Next time had surpassed that person. Just then, a new alert arrived. Title earned: Lone Wolf Warrior for solo clearing a Samrank dungeon. Reward: a Warrior's Tower key. He frowned. What the hell now? Monday morning. Sunlight brightened the academy courtyard as awakening students gathered in droves. At the front, the teacher sternly announced that semester results were officially released. Baidi and Chi Yan ranked first and second overall. His video was sent to HQ for verification, a record-breaking feat. Before the class could recover, she added both would join a special cultivation trip, and thanks to Baidi's excellence, he might even meet the Divine Commander himself. He simply nodded, calm as if it was all expected. The class erupted. Meet the Divine Race. That's almost impossible. Even chosen ones rarely get that chance. Though outwardly composed, he was intrigued inside. Meeting them in person sounded tempting indeed. A close friend ran up, teary-eyed yet smiling. "When you're famous, don't forget us, the Instant Noodle crew. I always knew you were born to shine." Scene cut. The counselor's office. Heavy with the smell of medicine, a deep voice asked Hong Kangxing's uncle, "You really don't want to join?" "I worked hard to come back. Just your signature, and I can join the cultivation trip." Kangxing clenched his fists, eyes unwavering. "I won't go. Third place isn't enough. If I rely on you, My achievements will mean nothing." His uncle burst out laughing, pride gleaming in his eyes. "Ha! You've got backbone. Your father would be proud." Kangxing stepped closer, voice steady. "But I have one request. Let me access the sealed drank crypt behind the mountain. I want to grow stronger on my own feet." Meanwhile, in the principal's office, Zeeling pleaded, "Please, sir, let me join the cultivation trip. In the last bloodline of the Z clan." The words echoed through the room, dropping the air into silence. Principal Xu Qinyan stared sternly. "You know you're the last of your clan, yet act like a reckless child." His voice hardened. "Explain, why did you lure teammates with a beast trap during the exam and then betray them?" Hearing that, Xiling went pale, throat tight, speechless. The old man continued coldly, "You think the higher-ups are blind? That no one saw your dirty trick?" Xiling was deeply shaken, realizing his fame existed only through others' protection. Crushed by pressure, he collapsed in despair. He choked out apologies, admitting his fault. Tears of remorse dripped onto the cold floor before his words could finish. The principal roared, voice sharp with fury, and Jiming looked up, eyes wide with fear and confusion. The principal continued, explaining that the incident drew high-level attention to Baidi. Baidi was deemed so exceptional that even the divine race sent envoys to observe him. "There's still a chance if you correct yourself and act properly." Xiling was overjoyed, hastily agreeing, yet deep inside, hatred for Baidi burned bright, revenge already brewing. He also lusted after a certain girl had set his sights on. The next afternoon, Baidi's friend rushed in, clutching a special invitation. The letter respectfully invited Baidi to join the school's most prestigious guild. Joining meant a shortcut straight into the Holy Association. It was an elite group, forged through years of strict selection. Normally, it required 3 rounds of screening, but now they invited a middle schooler directly. His friends were awed and proud of his achievement. But unexpectedly, Baidi snatched the letter without a word. He turned away, ignoring their stunned looks. He tossed the invitation straight into the trash as if it were worthless paper. A friend shouted in disbelief, how could he reject such a rare chance? Yet he walked away silently, offering no explanation. His indifference left everyone frozen, confused beyond words. Some grumbled, calling it a waste of opportunity. But another sighed softly, hinting that Baidi always had his reasons. With that poise and spirit, he was born to lead, not to obey. He quietly left, heading toward the mist-shrouded mountains behind the school. A voice from the shadows confirmed his access to the restricted zone. Waiting there was Hong Kangxing, who had arrived earlier. Baidi simply nodded, replying in an icy tone. When warned, Hong Kangxing snapped, brushing off the caution out of pride. He insisted their deal stood once inside the crypt, had teach real combat without holding back. Without delay, both plunged into the depths and began the hunt. Despite his experience, Hong Kangxing kept getting pummeled by monsters, even stumbling at times. Baidi coolly asked if he needed help, only to be sharply refused. He stood back, expressionless, watching from afar. During the lull, he opened his status panel. Requirements to unlock the warrior's tower glowed before him. His eyes tracked his companion's every move, as though studying a specimen, nearly at the threshold of full magical comprehension. This was his sole path to break further limits. By Tuesday afternoon, he discarded several more invitations. Leveling was growing harsher. On Wednesday, the two kept grinding monsters routinely, still distant and cold, though they disliked each other. Baidi occasionally saved him without hesitation. Even when scolded, he responded with detached calm, noting that the grind was progressing well. By Thursday, Hong Kangxing finally leveled up. Ecstatic beyond control, he reveled in his newfound freedom from family surveillance. Meanwhile, Baidi also reached rank C, feeling his power surge tangibly. With his new state, he was ready to face his next major goal. That night, his mother playfully teased him about romance, making him laugh. He answered innocently that he was far too young for love. She pressed further about his late returns, suspecting something shady. In the end, she gently advised, if someone's in your heart, don't let her slip away. Her words stirred an old memory long buried. A faint image of the girl who once moved his heart resurfaced. That scene was tied to a freezing winter in his previous life. She once stretched her arms, smiling brightly, calling him close with affection, yet he coldly pushed her away, rejecting her warmth. Still, they fought side by side through blood and peril, exhausted yet smiling in victory. She called him her steadfast leader. She reached out, asking him to lift her and keep moving forward together. Then softly, she asked again for just one embrace, but he turned aside, leaving her others care in silence. When fate struck, all he could do was watch helplessly as she died before his eyes. In that past life, after nearly dying himself, he was taken to a place called Enli. Their reunion happened in the most prosperous realm of mankind, the Holy River Nation. Yet now, her whereabouts were a mystery far beyond his reach, for in this life, only he retained the memories while she was but a stranger anew. At the same time, a former teammate grumbled about not reaching him, and Lee laughed heartily at the mention of him, sensing fun ahead. The more distant he was, the more people wanted to figure him out. They decided to meet him personally and deliver an official invite. As expected, the next morning he got a strange gift from his mother. She gently said it was his birthday present. He was surprised, never thinking she'd prepare such a thing. Slowly opening the box, he explored what lay inside. It was a simple scarf folded neatly in the box. Alongside was a handwritten card filled with love and faith. He smiled awkwardly. Why give a scarf when it's almost summer? In that moment, he realized his mother knew he planned to leave. She confirmed it, carefully advising him on weather and health. Turns out, she had always silently followed his every step. On his birthday, she told him to invite friends and slipped him money, but he shook his head, admitting he had no real friends. The scene suddenly shifted to the schoolyard, hinting at new events. There, he got an unexpected gift from a classmate. He looked at the strange item, puzzled about what it was. The guy grinned proudly, saying it was his favorite possession. Another student stepped up, looking smug like he had a big surprise. He pulled out a small gift box, boasting about its value. One glance told him the gift was truly precious. It was the original copy of his favorite magic film. In his past life, the two had secretly watched that banned movie together. The friend had warned him to keep it a total secret from teachers. Without hesitation, he stored the prize gift safely in his desk. Turning back, he nodded gratefully with sincere thanks. Seeing that, everyone around brightened with shared joy. Sien softly approached, her voice gentle as she called his name. She handed him a birthday gift, calling it the fruit of sin. Two classmates gasped, guessing wildly about what was inside. Rumor had it this was an unpriced, rank weapon. He was briefly flustered by her thoughtful gesture. After a pause, he solemnly declined, saying it was too valuable, but she gently replied, her eyes sincere. Recalling a past favor, with a half smile, she said it was nothing special, just a little help. He pondered, realizing he did need stronger equipment. She clearly knew he lacked proper gear despite his new class. He never expected such careful concern on his birthday. The class began whispering about his relationship with Xiyin. Xiyin stepped closer, her eyes sharp at their murmurs. Bai suddenly invited everyone to dinner in a calm tone. He proactively asked his friends out for the occasion, shocking them. The group eagerly agreed, and the mood turned lively. Then came whispers from the window about strange uniforms. A student chimed in, saying that group was heading their way. Someone clarified it was the Supreme High Delegation looking for Bai Yi. Contrary to expectations, he just smiled faintly and refused outright. His decisive refusal thrilled his friends, who eagerly awaited what came next. The classroom burst into chaos as everyone rushed to see. Ziling also slipped out quietly, unwilling to miss the coming drama. He frowned with jealousy, baffled why everyone revolved around Bai Yi. Hiding in a corner, Xiling crossed his arms and observed in silence. While all eyes were on the door, Bai Yi slipped away, eyes sharp as blades. Suddenly, lights across the buildings flickered wildly, then went out. Everything plunged into darkness, making him instantly alert. A familiar sensation crept into his mind. Like instinct awakening, he sensed a lightning strike rushing toward him. Despite the danger, Bai Yi stood firm and began his counterattack. The pressure from the blow sent everyone stumbling off balance. He quickly realized it was a distraction meant to mask the real move. Without delay, he drew his sword and followed the arc of the lightning. With a precise slash, he blocked a hidden ambush just in time. Then he began to clearly sense the source of the attack came from the left. Reacting instantly, he raised his sword to parry the revealed assailant. The scene unfolded so fast the students couldn't grasp what happened. Meanwhile, Enli smiled knowingly, eyes gleaming with appraisal. Bai Yi was also a bit surprised that things went exactly as he predicted. The girl stepped back slightly, keeping distance yet showing no fear. Smiling, she praised his reflexes and confirmed she'd chosen right. Old memories flashed. She once smiled and asked for a hug. Her hopeful eyes had silently begged for that embrace. Once again, she earnestly asked for a hug from someone she trusted. But back then, he only panicked and ran away. Returning to the present, Enli said she wanted to talk directly since he never replied. His friend still stared blankly, lost on what was happening. Yifan felt annoyed, assuming he'd reject her again. Enli stayed composed and continued her introduction, but before she could finish, Bai suddenly stepped forward and hugged her tightly, shocking everyone. The whole class froze, stunned by the bold move. Even Ziling was petrified, unable to believe his eyes. His voice came out deep yet tender, calling her name fondly. Gently, he said, long time no see, my dear one. The nearby students froze solid like statues struck by lightning. Enli stood motionless, eyes wide with disbelief. One classmate yelled as if watching a movie, calling it a legendary Seniorman's twist. The bespectacled boy corrected him. She's the same age, just advanced early. Xiyin stood aside in silent shock, utterly lost. As his arms still held her, Enla's body dissolved into mist. Then she turned into lightning. Flashing behind him, she playfully tapped his shoulder. Smirking, she asked if that hug meant his acceptance. Then she formally introduced the school delegation, boasting its vast resources and superior growth. But Bai Yi said nothing, his calm expression unchanged. Then he spoke firmly, rejecting the offer since he no longer felt tied to this place. As he finished, he boldly took her hand and declared confidently, because I'm founding my own guild. Next time we meet, we'll stand not as rivals, but as allies. Suddenly, the vice captain rushed over, panicking at her appearance. He announced that Dae Wei-hong had returned and the principal wanted the team to greet him immediately. Hearing that, Lee turned and left without hesitation, leaving only a promise for the upcoming cultivation journey. Then we'll have plenty of time to really talk things through. She looked back teasingly, and to see if your long-time no-see was real or just sweet talk. Her figure faded into the sunset, leaving an unforgettable trace. The schoolyard buzzed with chatter while Zeeling gnashed his teeth in fury. Everyone whispered about how he dared reject the strongest team and even planned to form his own guild. Some doubted him due to age and cost, but others reminded them of his record-breaking exam results. The bigger shock was how he openly hugged the school goddess, and she didn't resist. Amid it all, Bai quietly sank into thought about that fateful encounter. Members of the Divine Guild always hid their identities, so her showing up was beyond expectation, had nearly missed the chance to meet the most familiar soul from his past life. A soft smile crossed his face. What a birthday gift indeed. On the evening of the 56th, after class, the group gathered at Luang Barbecue. Huang Xian asked Yifan about the food, who said Bai Yi chose the spot himself. At the next table, Sai Yin suspiciously asked if he was serious about forming a guild. She pressed further, reminding him he once said he wouldn't stay long. Was he moving up early? Chewing his meat, he calmly replied that after this cultivation phase, he planned to move to the Holy River Nation. His words froze the table. Everyone was stunned. He planned to leave the academy. Still calm, he said he wasn't quitting school, just not staying here, prompting them to ask if he'd apply to the Divine Arms Academy in Holy River. Meanwhile, at the Kempinski Hotel lobby, a luxury car screeched to a stop, drawing all eyes. When the door opened, an attendant rushed out respectfully as if greeting royalty. He bowed deeply, inviting Dae Wei-hong to step in. The newcomer was the Crimson Commander of the Divine Guild, and the hall seemed to stop breathing. At that moment, Lingen's face went blank as if drenched in icy water. Nearby, Ling Sheng stood beside a reed-haired man whose name Lingen couldn't recall. Soon, Lingen dragged Jinyu the redhead aside, sternly questioning why Bai Ling Sheng was released early. He couldn't understand how someone under punishment could appear here before time. Jinyu casually replied that paying double bail solved it, with the captain's approval. Lingen was so furious he was left speechless, but he didn't stop there. He immediately demanded to know why Ling Sheng was attending Dae Wei-hong's reception. Jinyu feigned innocence, saying Ling Sheng only wanted to make amends and rejoin the squad. Just then, Ling Sheng approached Hong Bang holding a bag of magic crystals while Jinyu kept explaining. But before he could speak, Hong Bang roared and slapped the bag to the ground, his aura blazing. Facing Hong Bang's fury, Ling Sheng trembled, stammering incoherently. Hong Bang coldly scolded him, calling him an outsider unworthy to step here. Jinyu watched in terror, legs shaking and face pale. Ling Sheng frantically gathered the scattered crystals, mumbling pleas for mercy, but before he could finish, Hong Bang grabbed his collar and lifted him effortlessly, voice slicing through the air. You've got nothing, yet dare come here begging for merit. Take that garbage and get out of my sight now. Before everyone, Hong Bang declared coldly that from now on, Ling Sheng was banned from ever approaching the squad. The decree pinned him to despair, driving him mad. He smashed a magic crystal in rage. Muttering like a lunatic, he hissed, "One by one I'll make you all pay." At that moment, Yun Ya happened to step out of the apartment's trash room. She had no idea had been waiting there Hunosha long. Seeing Ling Sheng, her face turned pale with panic. He bared his teeth in a vicious grin, eyes flashing menace. He muttered gleefully, "Seems today's my lucky day." Back at the barbecue, Bai Yi suddenly noticed a familiar group entering. Spotting their medals, he instantly recognized their affiliation, that emblem he knew it all too well. They were members of the Divine Guild. Yifan whispered that if Bai Yi entered the Divine Relic Academy, he might outrank them all someday. Yifan sighed, while Xian brushed it off, vowing to pass and stay with him. Bai Yi appeared calm but felt uneasy at how smoothly things were going. Huang Xian reminded everyone it was his birthday, so they should keep the mood cheerful. Yet even on his special day, Bai Yi sensed a vague unease within. The group raised their glasses, smiling brightly, but the cheerful air was soon disturbed by a faint feeling of dread. Yunya clutched her son's gift tightly, seeking comfort in confusion. Ling Sheng snarled venomously, full of hatred and contempt. He ranted madly, accusing her of disgraceful ties. He threatened to teach her a lesson she'd never forget. He brought up old grudges, eyes gleaming with malice, demanding the origin of the item she held. It was a bracelet, a gift from her son. Yun Ya instinctively hid it, but Ling Sheng sneered and suddenly threw a punch. At that instant, the bracelet glowed mysteriously as if alive. Two ethereal beings emerged from the light. Summoned into being, they intervened immediately, blocking the strike in a flash. Their cold eyes radiated unwavering resolve. In unison, they vowed to sacrifice themselves to protect their master. The two wood-type spirit beasts were her companions, recalling her son's promise. He had told her to wear the bracelet so she'd be safe when he was away. Back in the present, the spirit beasts attacked in unison. They executed a flawless combo. Blasting Ling Sheng backward, he staggered, looking utterly beaten and disheveled. He wiped the blood away and grinned chillingly. Rage surged within him, his eyes glowing a terrifying red. At the barbecue, Bai Yi suddenly sensed the bracelet sending a strange signal. A surge of energy hit him, draining the color from his face. He instantly stood up, announcing he had to leave right away. His friends were stunned by his abrupt reaction. Outside, he called to check on the investigation's results. The report said Bai Ling had attended the banquet but was expelled afterward. After leaving the hotel, his whereabouts vanished completely. Worried, Bai Yi called home, but no one answered. After countless calls, fear crept in his mother might be near danger. If she met that man now, the consequences would be dire. The worst may already have happened to his mother. Without hesitation, he sped home on his bicycle like the wind, even with spirit beasts guarding her. He feared they were too weak to hold out. As expected, Shi Wuming was barely resisting the enemy's overwhelming force. Ling Xing glared, killing intent surging. The spirit beast coiled around his legs in one final effort. Though its body was shattering, it refused to let him advance. He grabbed it like a bothersome prey. Brutal stabs rained down amid furious roars. Yun Yun recoiled in terror at the blood spilling endlessly. Ling Xing slid closer, hissing wickedly. Your turn now. He stepped forward, his aura crushing the air itself. Seeing its comrade fall, the other beast reacted instantly. Without hesitation, it lunged to protect her, urging her to flee. Its body turned into vines, binding Ling Xing with desperate strength. Tears streamed down her face, her lips trembling until they bled. She turned and ran in agony while the beast held him back. But the enemy's power grew stronger by the second. He tore through the vine body, ripping the beast's arm apart. Without mercy, he strangled it to death. Yun Yun ran frantically, panic consuming her. Ling Xing blocked her path, trapping her completely. He laughed eerily, savoring her despair. Before she could react, he yanked the jade pendant from her neck and sneered. With a squeeze, he crushed the pendant to dust. Her face turned pale, frozen with terror. He raised his knife coldly, spitting vile words as he struck. In that instant, she remembered her son's words about the jade. As the pendant shattered, a shockwave burst outward. The promise echoed, "Ill come the moment you're in danger." Bai Yi appeared suddenly, stopping the blade with his bare hand. Both froze, unable to believe their eyes. Even Ling Sheng stood stunned by his lightning-fast arrival. Bai Yi uttered one firm line. "This ends now." At once, memories flooded back like a raging storm. Back then, his father tortured his mother while he was tied, helpless to stop it. The madman, enraged by failure, vented all fury on his fragile family. The boy cried and begged his father to stop hurting her. He kept pleading, clinging to a fading hope for mercy. But it was too late. His mother couldn't survive. That day, meant for joy, turned to tragedy because he came home late. The unemployed man had become a monster, destroying his own home. Dark hatred consumed him. Reason long lost. Bai Yi struggled to rise, breaking free of the chains that bound him. Then he rushed forward, clutching his dying mother's tortured body. All that pain carved into his memory like a blade. The psychological shock triggered an evolution beyond his level. From an ordinary role, he burst forth as a platinum crane warrior. Flames of vengeance surged as he faced the man who caused the tragedy. In fury, he summoned chains from deep within his spirit. They coiled around the tyrant, sealing off any escape. Finally, he ended his foe with every ounce of silent hatred. But it was too late. His mother could never return. His tears fell not from physical pain but from a shattered soul. Yet in this life, he swore history would never repeat. Ignoring his wounds, he snatched the knife from his enemy and countered fiercely. The blade shattered under his overwhelming strength. The man sneered, shocked to realize who he was facing. The madman vowed to drag both mother and son into hell. Without wasting words, Bai Yi summoned his sword, unleashing a blinding strike. Though the enemy kept his footing, blood poured from his wounds. Seeing the knife, he froze. He recognized it as his own. So the one who trapped him was his rebellious son. Bai Yi's summoned spirit beast had recovered, now tasked to escort his mother. The foe twisted his face, realizing those floral tape beasts were his as well. With dualism and awakening and swapping power, Bai Yi was a rare prodigy. The man chuckled darkly, praising his strength with icy admiration. But Bai Yi's eyes stayed cold, unmoved by the arrogant praise. The man scolded him for leaving and trespassing into forbidden grounds. He accused Bai Yi of being an unfilial son deserving punishment. His gaze turned frigid, condemning him as an arrogant child who scorned his parent. Then, roaring in fury, he lunged forward while Bai Yi's mother screamed in warning. Yet Bai Yi's eyes remained steady as he calmly lifted his hand to strike back. He instantly activated his cloud element skill, shifting into combat form. The opponent's expression changed, revealing clear confusion. Bai Yi sealed all escape routes in bone-chilling frost. The man froze solid on the spot, unable to move an inch. Bai Yi walked forward slowly, killing intent radiating as he spoke with quiet authority. He stated that his multiple awakenings had nothing to do with that man. He declared bluntly that the man was worthless in his eyes now. The words sent the man into a rage. He screamed and laughed maniacally. He boasted of being a veteran crank survivor from the battlefield. He ranted about his household authority before bursting his core force to shatter the ice. Bai Yi stayed calm, drawing his sword in one swift motion. The first slash tore through the air straight toward his foe. The blade shifted stance, flowing into a second attack. The armor-breaking strike pierced through the front guard cleanly. The man stared in disbelief that his defense was shattered so easily. Bai Yi withdrew his sword, leaving a deep gash across his body. The man panicked, questioning his power, but Bei advanced with icy menace. He declared the severing of blood ties, erasing all bonds between them. His voice was sharp as frost. This man no longer mattered to him or his mother. Those words made the man's body stiffen for an instant, then he burst out laughing madly, shrieking about parental debt before Bai kicked him away like trash. The kick sent him spinning before crashing hard onto the tiles. Before he could recover, Bai closed in, dodging and countering with precision. The man shut his eyes. Enduring the storm of blows, he couldn't grasp why he had fallen to such a pitiful state. His mind still clung stubbornly to his red crank title. The relentless strikes left him staggering, nearly collapsing. Bai grabbed his collar, stressing that he never stood a chance. For years, the man had ruled only through brute force. He deluded himself into thinking authority gave him worth, because outside, he never dared face anyone stronger. Bai spat that he was nothing but a cowardly fool, a hollow man with no real value. Bai declared he wasn't even worthy of being called a man. Then he slammed his head into the ground, venting years of pent-up rage. Yunyun trembled, torn between fear and pride at her son's courage. The man panicked, begging for mercy yet showing no remorse. He clung to the title of father, demanding filial respect. Hearing that, Bai's gaze turned icicled and terrifying. He yanked the man close, asking if he'd remembered family when he was being cruel. He recalled being 7, the man's hand clutching his wrist, smashed against the wall again and again, crying and pleading. He still endured merciless beatings, even with torn ears. He remembered the man never stopped. His mother was beaten constantly, hospitalized every month. Any excuse, bad meal. Defiance was reason enough for violence. Whenever anger struck, home became a battlefield of fear. Bai slammed his head down again, mocking the so-called family bond. The man began to tremble, collapsing to his knees in despair. He promised to change, begging for forgiveness, but Bai's heart had turned to ice. Unmoved by false tears, he once thought perhaps the man truly regretted his sins. But the moment he turned away, the man stabbed him. Violence was his nature. Rage exploded, his power reaching its peak. His breathing thundered like war drums, his aura making the enemy shiver. The system in his mind announced an evolved skill as his sword rose. Menacing, his mother, trembling, pleaded for him to stop, torn by fear and love, yet he struck coldly, believing evil deserved no second chance. That monster must be stripped of all power to harm again. The slash fell with an earth-shaking shockwave, tearing the man apart. He screamed in agony, his body shredded beyond recognition. In panic, he begged to keep their fathers in bond, but to Baiya, the words only made his stomach churn in disgust. He raised his hand, casting an ice skill without hesitation. Instantly, he sealed the man's mouth, silencing his cries. Baiya declared the same ending as before, nothing to regret. But just as he lifted his sword, a familiar voice echoed in his mind. He froze, turning to identify who had called his name. Then he realized the spirit beast Wuming was linking his mother's consciousness. She said she didn't want him becoming another version of that man. That monster had already lost everything precious. Living in torment was punishment enough. Choking up, he tried to respond, but her voice continued to resonate. She didn't want him walking down that same dark path, nor did she want him burdened by vengeance for half a lifetime, like before rotting in prison. Watching time drip past cold bars, her words rang like a bell of clarity amid his labyrinth of hatred. He nodded and said, "I understand," declaring he wouldn't kill the man but would never let him touch his mother again. In that instant, he recalled a skill from his past life, dual judgment. When cast on the dying, drains all spiritual power and leaves them crippled forever. His cold eyes followed the flash of light, sealing destiny's verdict. The blade carved an X deep into the old man, stripping every ounce of awakened power. He proclaimed the man powerless, no longer a practitioner. By dawn, the man must leave the city and never approach his mother again. Wuming would remember his aura within 3 miles, had be hunted instantly. Even if the man hid in prison forever, had still find and end him. Bai Lingsheng finally realized had fallen from glory to helpless mortality. He trembled and bowed his head in despair. With everything settled, he helped his mother back to her familiar room, then ordered his 2 spirit beasts to heal her carefully. Wuming joked while treating her that the old man hadn't even touched a hair on her head. Hearing that, he exhaled in relief had arrived in time. Ruyun comforted him, saying they had guarded her well. Yet he insisted on finding more protective jades for her safety. To his surprise, his mother suddenly spoke again like before. He gasped at she really just spoken aloud. It wasn't telepathy this time, but an actual voice from her lips. She herself was stunned, not knowing how she could speak. Wuming explained it was a temporary recovery from spiritual shock. Days later, the scene shifted to his departure from home. His mother and friends gathered, hoping he'd stay longer. He answered gently yet firmly that all was arranged, with protective jade to alert him of any danger. He asked them to care for his mother wholeheartedly. She knew he must leave to cultivate, but didn't realize that the boy in her heart had long become someone else. He carried a flesh-cutting hatred that forbade retreat. Just then came a rare chance, a pass to the Holy River Kingdom. That was where his target hid the one fateful chance of his life. In his hand lay an invitation from the Holy Order Guild, letting him reach Shenghe earlier than in his past life. Though he knew the road might not lead back, he had to go. At that moment, his mother slapped her forehead, remembering something crucial. Today was 25621010. the full moon's blessing festival of the flower goddess, the Grand Mage would return for the ritual. He then recalled his mother's devotion to the flower goddess sect and that he hadn't told her had leave tomorrow. Perhaps leaving quietly was kinder, had never been good with goodbyes. Elsewhere, his best friend was recovering from a minor surgery, thankfully caught in time. The boy's father bowed gratefully to the benefactor who had saved his son. The friend, though downhearted, pretended it was just a small procedure, but to parents, even a small surgery was huge. They made him stay in bed. He sighed regretfully that the operation happened on Bei's departure day, so he couldn't see him off. The next day at Chenghe Station, 12:30 p.m., an emotional farewell unfolded. Chai Yin's mother fussed over her daughter, urging her to stay healthy. She hugged her one last time, asking her to tell her father not to blame himself if they met. Someone joked that it wasn't that serious, it was just a short cultivation trip. As the train prepared to leave, the parents disappeared quietly into the crowd. He alone stood in a corner, with no one to see him off. Chai Yin's mother suddenly asked why he came alone, no one to accompany him. He only smiled evasively, steering the talk toward the train's schedule. She gently asked again, had he grown used to being alone? A faint sorrow crossed his face as he nodded. Yes, because it was something he had to accept. Silence had long been his companion, solitude became habit. His words drifted like mist, recalling a past life full of loss. His mother was gone, and his father slain by his own vengeful hand. His closest friends had perished one by one, some by illness, some by fate. His master once summoned him home, but he never had the chance to return. Old comrades turned traitors, backstabbing and deceit were all that remained. He had grown accustomed to people leaving him behind. His life was an endless chain of farewells, teaching him to let go. Just then, the monk's carriage arrived, and Chi Yin's mother called out. With eyes dim as ash, he stepped slowly onto the vehicle, but footsteps rushed toward him from behind. A familiar voice made him stop and turn around. He saw his friends and mother waving with bright smiles. Yifan hurried up, explaining that Huangshan insisted on coming. He worriedly asked why, but Huangshan grinned, saying he felt fine. Then he patted Bai's shoulder, reminding him to take care. His friends handed him a few keepsakes for the journey ahead. Chi Yin smiled softly, relieved to see him cared for. Aunt Jian brought a protective charm, a blessing from a local shrine. She gently hung the amulet around her son's neck, hoping this little token would shield him in the days ahead. He was moved, realizing his mother had quietly prepared it. She knew it'd be gone long. Chai Yin's mother urged him to hurry, the train was departing. Without hesitation, he stepped aboard with firm resolve. Seated, he fell silent, feeling that nothing was the same anymore. Outside, his mother and friends kept waving until the train rolled away. The farewell scene warmed his heart, stirring emotions hard to restrain. Clenching his fists, he silently vowed to return one day. As the train left, a distant figure kept watching him. That person immediately reported the delivery was complete, awaiting further orders. He was the intermediary sect master of the Flower Goddess Temple and Swan-ranked expert. The voice on the other end calmly replied, "Nothing more. Our bet now rests on him."